Big Red Overreaction, the live postgame show with all the info and opinions you can handle, plus the most important voice of all, yours. Big Red Overreaction is presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. And Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also sponsored by Dingman's Collision Center and Mechanical Repair. Get on the line now at 402-951-1620 and sound off on Big Red Overreaction. Live on 1620 The Zone and 1019 The K.
All right, welcome Big Red Overreaction. I'm Gary Sharp, John Bishop. Nebraska falls 20-17, so they'll go another week without qualifying for a bowl. Disappointing day in East Lansing. You can't play uninspired football for 57 minutes and then all of a sudden wake up and Nebraska comes up empty as they are showing what probably should be an incomplete pass there on the end there, John.
It's close. I was just watching it and I just switched over from the other broadcast, so I missed it. But I mean, it was a borderline call. What I thought though, Gary, was a couple of plays earlier when Malachi caught the ball.
Oh, the first down marker.
I thought he had a first down, which should have stopped the clock, but they marked him short. Now, I didn't go back and watch it. Obviously, the game was still going on, but it was just a – I mean, this was a bad game on all fronts. I mean, Michigan State didn't necessarily play a great game. Nebraska played a worse game, and the officials had a terrible day.
Yeah, it was bad broadcast, TV broadcast.
And that too.
Bad, uninspired performance with a lot of stuff on the line. We haven't seen Nebraska this year against – comparable talent lay an egg like this. And today they needed to be bailed out by somebody. And they didn't get bailed out by anybody. All three phases did not make a play when they needed to make a play. And you F around and you find out. And that's what happened today for Nebraska. And, it's unfortunate, but there's probably some truth in this game, John, where a 5-3 team coming in against a 2-6 team, they're probably a lot closer to each other than the records indicate. And today you got exposed. And now Nebraska has to regroup. And I will be very curious with Matt Rhule after this game, the tone that he takes. Because I got to believe, and I think we'll get a lot of callers. You might be. I'm that way. I think it's okay to be angry here. Nebraska had and just an uninspired performance. There wasn't a lot of motion on the sidelines. Just the game vibe just was really off all day.
It was, and I was afraid of that. Not afraid that Nebraska would be flat necessarily, but afraid that they would have to bring something a little more today than maybe usual because the stadium wasn't going to be full. Michigan State, the record doesn't inspire you. And Matt Rhule kind of emphasized that this week on Monday. He always has a theme in his Monday press conferences, and the theme this week really had to do with the attitude that you bring no matter what the other team's record might be. And I think there was a little bit of trepidation that he thought maybe this team with a 3-game winning streak was going to, be a little overconfident. If that sounds crazy, it might, but he was really just trying to guard against, Nebraska diverting from the mindset that's gotten them here to this point. And sure enough, Nebraska, they made mistakes early in the game. You had the arm punt that really could have been a touchdown if Harburg sees the right guy and throws it in the right place. And unfortunately, you're right. The defense, while not terrible today, they needed to bail them out a little bit more than they've been asked to bail them out in recent weeks. And it did not happen. I thought the defense did bail out Brian Buschini from a couple of terrible punts today. And that's another part of this game that, might be overlooked a little bit, but I certainly won't because he really failed in some big opportunities.
Yeah, it was a bad game. And, Nebraska hasn't played pretty games for 3 straight, but they've been able to stand outside of that hole that is the muck and look down. Right. Today they got sucked into the muck, and the whole game was bad on both sides. And Nebraska just wasn't able to overcome it. And they got some questions now as they go into the game against Maryland, but they're going to look back at this game, and there's a lot of opportunities that Michigan State gifted them, and Nebraska, unlike the last 3 games, they weren't able to take advantage of it. And this is what happens. You lose football games. You turn the ball over. Nebraska turns it over more than a team that turns it over the most in the Big Ten. And then Penn State's weakness of defending the pass, you don't have a quarterback that can complete a pass when you need a pass to be completed. And all those things added up today, and he lost 20-17 in a game that was also rightful, John, that Nebraska actually had a chance at the end, believe it or not.
Well, I thought Michigan State is a team that will give you opportunities, and they certainly did. I mean, they literally had 2 drives where they just needed to work clock, and they call pass on first down both times, and they both fall incomplete. So they gave Nebraska a little extra time, but this is a team that had a horrible collapse against Rutgers. They have not played well in the fourth quarter. Yet Nebraska still wasn't able to take advantage. And Heinrich Haarberg, I mean, I know he had a couple of nice plays today with his feet, but he looked, I don't know, he just didn't look the same running the ball. And I don't know if that's the grind of the season or what it is, but I didn't think he was particularly good with his feet today. And certainly
he wasn't good, period.
He's a Wildcat plus. I mean, he's not a great passing quarterback. We already knew this. And unfortunately, Nebraska was put in a spot where they had to throw the ball a little more than they wanted to. I mean, this is a team that's only attempted, I think it's 28 pass attempts in the last 2 games. And what did it end up being today? I think
28.
28. So, I mean, they literally matched what they've done the last 2 games in 1 game today.
Big Red Overreaction is presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Also presented by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. You can join us on 1620 The Zone, 1019 The Keg, 951-1620. John and Gary here for you for a while. Nebraska loses 20-17, and on top of it, it's been a wild day in the Big Ten. Ohio State is up by 12 on Rutgers, but Rutgers is hung around as an 18-point underdog. Wisconsin has lost today. Wisconsin lost at Indiana 20-14, but Nebraska loses at Michigan State 20-17. We'll get Matt Rhule's thoughts here in a little bit. What do you think here, Joey? Do we have time to sneak in a call?
I'm sure we probably do. I still haven't seen anything yet, as far as a press conference, so I think we're okay.
All right, Thomas on the line. He was probably called in when it was 20-10. The game ends 2017 Michigan State. Hello, Thomas. You kick off Big Red Overreaction post Michigan State. Hello? Thomas.
He's in the background somewhere.
Thomas, this would be great if he was sleeping. All right, Thomas.
I mean, I can understand being the nature of that game, but
going 3 times. All right, Thomas, call back.
By the way, we've got 2 really good finishes here with Texas, Kansas State, and Ole Miss, Texas A&M. K-State is down 3 at midfield, but they're going to face a 4th down with 25 seconds left, and Ole Miss has just taken the lead with 90 seconds to go, and A&M's got the ball. Ole Miss by 3.
This has been a great early window of college football today.
Been wild because Ole Miss looked like they had that game won. Yep. Texas looked like they had that game won. And then you mentioned the other 2 Big Ten games today. It's lived up to the hype. It's too bad we've had to focus all of our attention on Nebraska and Michigan State with all these other great games going on.
All right, let's get Samuel. But Samuel, just know that if Matt Rhule steps to the podium, we'll have to put you on hold. Hello, Samuel. Welcome to Big Red Overreaction with John and Gary.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
Good.
It's going.
Yeah, first time caller. Love the show. Big Husker fan. I have a comment about the O-line and the offense. We saw what happens when 5 backups play against a good defensive line. I know that Purdue has a couple of dudes, but Michigan State's pretty solid across the defensive line. My question is, when this offense has everyone healthy and has their guys 2-3 years into the offense, what is the ceiling of this offense under Marcus Satterfield? Because it's a little bit late in the season to be fundamentally changing our ball security practice habits. But I wonder if you guys see this offense being more than average in a couple of years, because it's not looking too good. And I think this game was good for kind of exposing the offense's deficiencies in a lot of different areas. So ball security, the lack of offensive weapons, and I think the O-line as well. But what are you guys' thoughts?
Samuel, thank you.
Actually, we're going to have Matt Rhule here in about 10 seconds. So stand by, because Matt Rhule has just gone to the podium, and we're going to get it queued up here. And let's go to Matt Rhule live in East Lansing. We'll get to that subject when we come back.
I think all across the board. We didn't tackle the way that we normally do. We gave up some big plays. I think Keith just told me every scoring drive had a pass play of 25 yards. I don't know if they ran for 100 yards, but they they certainly hit us on double
They did
move and
not.
a trick play and a missed tackle. And then offensively in the second half, we couldn't get anything going. So, proud of the guys' effort. I thought they fought at the end to go down and get the ball back and stop them on defense and, try to block the kick and go down and have a chance to go kick a field goal, win that game, which I expect us to go do. But overall, just, the whole performance was not our best.
What do you think when you have to pass the ball? How do you feel about it, given what you just saw? What do you feel like were the issues today, both quarterback, offensive line, and defensive team?
Yeah, I think it was they played us in like base zone coverages on first down, and I thought early on we had 90 yards rushing in the first half. Thought we could run the ball well. Had some early third down conversions. They on second down they played man, on third down they played man and pressured us, and just didn't beat those enough. Had some plays dialed up where I thought we were going to win, and there was pressure, or other plays where there was no pressure, and we just couldn't quite connect. You see sometimes, when we have rhythm and we have timing, we're in a little bit of tempo at the end. We made some plays, just certainly not good enough in the passing game at all.
How would you evaluate Heinrich specifically?
I'd have to watch the tape to see Heinrich. I thought he ran the ball ran the ball well at times, made some good explosive plays. I know he competed. He brought us back. I'd have to just go back and watch the tape. I know those last two, the ball was knocked out of his hands. So you guys probably had a better vantage point on the replay than I do from the field. So I'd have to go back and see what exactly that was and why those things happened.
Do you consider making a change for a spark? Or obviously you mounted that drag late, but was that
No, I didn't consider that. I was just in the flow of the game. I mean, to me, that's a Big Ten game. It's a 13-10 game. They come out, the punting game, they had the field tilted towards them. So, we had been stopping them. And then obviously the kid made the great catch down the right sideline to make it a 10-point game. And, I thought we were moving the ball down there, took a shot down to Malachi and, got tangled up and, didn't catch it. But, I don't think I was just trying to get our guys to play through it. This is kind of what the Big Ten football is going to be like. It's a tight one-score game down the stretch, and we expect you to go make the plays to win. And, that's all across the board.
Was there instruction to Kim to catch everything?
Yeah, so we had Billy and Ethan both up, right? You saw Ethan go out there at the end to catch it. Billy's just not quite 100% cleared, but he wanted to catch the ball. Last week the ball kept rolling and hitting. So, they hit some bombs. Even all of those that look, I know it doesn't look great. Even the Gunners were down kind of bearing on him. So he fair caught it. I think if he would have had we went for the block a lot today. So the thought process was like, hey, let's go try to block it. We think we have a chance. We thought we had a chance going in the game to be a good block team. So we were trying to block him and then put him back there for the stability of winning the turnover battle.
How would you describe your pass defense today? It seems like they hit a few big ones on you.
Yeah, obviously got hit on the double move, got hit in zone on a shallow cross. I just felt like, kind of watching the guys on defense, it just never felt as crisp and as right as it normally is. I wouldn't say certainly it was flat, but, just they made some big plays. They made a great catch on the double pass. They made a great catch on the fade route down the sideline. And that's a play. If you look at it, you go back and look at the highlight, Phelan's over the top as a post player, going down to catch the ball, you're hoping that you come across and pick those balls off or not, get a big hit. So credit to them. They made big catches down the field, but, we were able to get to the quarterback sometimes, but not enough. It just never quite got into the rhythm on defense that you're used to until the very end, right? At the very end, even then they were still throwing the ball. We were able to make some plays, but it just wasn't quite what I'm used to seeing from the guys.
Is that the secondary? Would you say it wasn't quite bad?
I would just say the whole thing. I think I've asked all of our guys. I mean, it just felt like Five's an excellent back. Let me just start by saying that Carter's an excellent back. I just never felt quite as to the level of the way we've been playing in terms of the physicality and coming downhill and striking and tackling like we were falling off us. But it was never. I wouldn't say it was egregious. It just at the end of the day, like we expect our defense to go out and play to a standard. Kind of like I said to you guys last week, right? The standard wasn't quite what we thought last week. But again, we can't give up big plays. Doesn't matter how good you are on defense, sacks, takeaways. if you don't take the ball away and you give up big plays, it's not a recipe for winning.
The circumstances have to be considered with turnovers, but again, you're -3 today. How do you feel about that? Also, not generating.
Yeah, I thought I thought our ball security and all those things that have been plaguing us, snaps on the ground, I thought it was so much better, right? I thought it was significantly better in the game. But to your point, we never took the ball away. At the end of the game, we can't have those things happen. We have to make those plays, and so there'll never be an excuse for being -3, right? It's -3 and you lose by 3. I mean, you're probably a better football team than that. So, as I said to our guys, our guys, we're a good football team. We're finding out what it's like to play games with consequences late in the year. When you come in after winning a couple games, you're finding out they're finding out for the first time that people are ready for you. They did not pay attention to you all week. They studied you all week. And you're going to have to fight, scratch, and claw, and not just assume, well, we've stopped them for 2 drives, we're going to get them going now. Or, hey, we ran the ball. The first drive coming out of halftime, we had 30 yards rushing on the drive, and then we sputter. So there's a lot more lessons to learn from this game. It's painful, but they have to learn them.
Was there something affecting Brian Machine today?
No, I don't know. I don't know. Anything. I know the one time just a rusher came in, but I mean, I think there's nothing that I know of.
Did you want him to down it? To down it on that last play? Or did you want to run?
No. We were calling basically Hail Mary on that play. I mean, it's 4 seconds left. So the guys were jogging back, and it was just such a long. We were in position to, if we hit that ball, if we hit that in cut, we're going to probably kick a field goal, and it went back however many yards, went back 15. That's kind of a game ender. And we teach our guys, right, at the end of the day, to win these games, pocket integrity matters, your ability to rush the quarterback and your ability to protect the quarterback in those situations. That includes the quarterback, the receivers, everybody. Those things matter. And we just weren't able to make that. We just need to make one more play down the stretch of that half. No. I didn't. Nothing was explained to me.
Would you have had to let the clock run out for them?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, because we're at home and because we don't get replays, and we really, unless I see it clearly, I have to kind of count on them, right? Does that make sense? So someone has to tell me, hey, they did this, they did that. So you guys saying this to me, I couldn't see that. There was a pile of people from, I couldn't see that as it happened. So, we don't have technology in the box. So at least most of us don't, have technology in the box. I mean, sometimes you'll go to a place that has a press box, camp TV you can see. So I know our guys were trying to look at some things that we thought, we were hoping that the touchdown was going to be ruled incomplete that they caught, and the guys were kind of looking over, trying to see a TV, and we were looking at the board, but nothing was explained to me. I mean, I asked a couple questions during the day about some face masks and pass interference on the field. They always give me a great explanation, but I don't know what happened on that. Thanks, guys.
All right, that's Matt Rhule.
Yeah, Matt Rhule, after the loss today, 20-17. A lot in there what he said. Big Red Overreaction is brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Mechanical Repair. Also, you can call us and call John and myself. You're on the Jay Stennett Contracting Hotline, 402-951-1620. Initial thoughts on what you just heard from the head man?
A lot's in there, obviously, but mainly just, disappointment. It's obviously Matt Rhule was disappointed in what happened today, and, they're going to have to regroup and figure it out. Unfortunately, Gary, this is a team based on the way it's built. It's not built to come from behind.
Nope.
It's got to be a team that plays from in front, and obviously we've seen that in the last 3 weeks. The last 3 wins, they've played from in front for the most part, and this team could not afford to play from behind. I thought it was interesting that, he said, there was never really any consideration to go to anyone else but Heinrich Haarberg. And, at this point, you have to wonder. I mean, we've all wondered if Jeff Sims is, ever going to see any meaningful snaps again, especially after last week. You also have to wonder about where Chuba Purdy is at this point in terms of his development. Because right now, what you're getting out of Heinrich Haarberg, you're getting Wildcat plus. I mean, that's what he is. He's basically a Wildcat quarterback who throws a little bit better than an average Wildcat player. But That's about it. So you kind of know what you have at this point. And you wonder where Chuba is in all of this, either health-wise or just being able to run the offense. But they're kind of stuck between the 8 ball right now, and today was a perfect result. If you had better quarterback play today, you probably win this game. Not to put it all on Heinrich, because obviously there's a lot of other things at play here, but they certainly were not helped by how 10 played this afternoon.
There people have speculated, okay, the best thing going for Harburger, they're 5-1 with him as the starting quarterback. What happens when they lose? And with a better quarterback play, they could have changed the outcome. Well, now that question comes up this week, but I still don't have any gut feeling that Matt Rhule is ready to move on from Heinrich Haarberg. Here's 2 things. One, coming into this game, Nebraska, Michigan State's quarterback situation with Hauser and Levitt up in the air. Not great. But at least Nebraska had to have a push in that category. I know you do the big board. I'm not sure what you had there, but they had.
I made a mistake. I accidentally put the check on the wrong side. And these freshmen, they played well today.
Okay, so that's the key here. You had to have at least a push in that category, and you think, okay, there's going to be certain areas like Buschini. He'll help you in a game like this, which is going to be fairly tight. You're going to need special teams to have an impact and flip the course of a game. Bad day to have bad Buschini. Bad day to have Haarberg, because Michigan State's double duo of quarterbacks much better than Nebraska's. And, of course, Buschini had a very, very poor day punting. And those things at the end of a 1-score loss come to bite you. And then also Nebraska was a mess in their final sequence. Once again, they were a mess with clock management, play design, just all of that stuff. And I also thought I could go back to not just that last series and then skip over the series where Haarberg got the long run and Emmett Johnson finished it off. I thought Nebraska should have shown a more sense of urgency on offense with about 7.5 minutes to go.
Absolutely.
They were still lollygagging. They were slow to get into the huddle, to get out of the huddle. It was a bad day all around, and they got what they deserved at the end of the game, and that's a loss, and it's going to sting, just like the game to begin the season will.
Gary, real quick, scoreboard update brought to you by Peerless Energy Systems, helping increase efficiency with your compressed air system. Kansas State made their field goal to force overtime. Texas got a field goal on their first possession. K-State's got it 1st and goal at the 6, and quarterback draw gets 2 yards. So the 2nd and goal at the 4, touchdown wins for K-State. And Ole Miss blocks a field goal on the final play of the game. It was about a 40-yard field goal, and they just got a piece of it. It fell short. So Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss hold off Texas A&M 38-35. That's your Peerless Energy System scoreboard update. Exciting stuff going on in college football. Not exciting stuff going on here locally.
All right, Nebraska's 5-4. Wisconsin has lost today. Minnesota, Illinois is kicked off. Iowa, Northwestern is kicked off. But Nebraska will wait another week to become bowl eligible. Let's go back to the phones here on the Jay Stinnett Construction Hotline. Here is Andy. Andy, welcome to Big Red Overreaction with John and Gary.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Mm-hmm.
First off, I know it's tough after a loss, so I appreciate you guys, Gary and John. The big question I have is why are we putting Kemp back on special teams? Everybody knows he can't run. So it's like an automatic fair catch.
John, you want to, before you go any further, Andy, let John explain why Billy Kemp was doing that today.
I'm sorry, Gary. Yeah, Matt Rhule explained it, but it was also, it was pretty apparent. I know that Tim Brando and company didn't have a great broadcast, but it was obvious based on how he was talking that he was told before the game that Billy Kemp was just in there to basically be Santino Panico and just make fair catches, just to secure the ball, that he was in no health. And then Rhule basically confirmed that in the press conference. So he was just in there to secure the possession. And then I'm trying to remember, who did they have in on the last one?
Ethan Nation,
Ethan Nation.
They tried to break one, and he got, 4 or 5 yards on that final punt?
Yeah, so that's why.
Are you guys telling me there ain't one athlete on this team that can catch the ball and return?
I said the same thing on Twitter.
So, Andy, their big thing all week was, we just want the punt caught. And even though Billy Kemp was not going to be used as a wide receiver, they had to have somebody back there to catch. Hey, Andy, every day that goes by, I appreciate DeMornay Pearsonell even more. Returning punts is not for everyone. And Nebraska is now on about a decade run of not being able to find anybody that can at least make a play and get you even 8 to 10 yards on a regular basis. It's frustrating. And in games like this, comes back to hurt you because this became a major field position game that Nebraska was on the wrong side of all day.
Oh yeah, I mean we got whooped.
Yeah, I mean you needed the defense obviously to step up in some cases. Sorry, but you also, when you play like Nebraska does, you have to win. You have to win the field position battle, and because of special teams, they didn't win the field position battle. They got crushed in that category.
Yeah, I'd give special teams probably a D. But other stuff. Well, you guys have said it. Harburg is not the answer. We know that. We need a dude who can pass. You know, he misses too many throws. You know, that pick with the Fedoni. Come on, he's like 6 yards over. Come on.
Yep. Andy thinks. Go ahead.
Let me finish on a positive note. I like
All right.
Fedoni. Dude's killing it. And our D is killing it. And our kicker's doing it. And, you know, it sucks to lose. We were all looking forward to getting bowl eligible. Already was ready to book the tickets. Well, got to wait a week. So,
yep. Andy, thanks for the phone call. Thomas Fedoni has to be better. And I'm not just saying catching the football. I know, John, how you feel about him. But there were days today where as a blocking tight end, he could have made a difference, and he didn't. And I don't know if he's regressed or if he stayed the same, but I expect more out of him every Saturday, and I'm not getting it. And Nebraska needs him to be better than he's been in catching and blocking.
Yeah, my opinions on Fedoni aren't as strong as my co-host, but yeah, he is not yet. But also considered he is in his first real actual year of college football, given that he was injured the last 2 years. So I'm not gonna write him off. He certainly has the physical tools, but yeah, the missed block on the screen pass, that play could have gone for some good yardage, and instead it gets blown up. You know, and he has dropped a couple of passes this year. So yeah, there's obviously work to be done, but I'm more than willing to give Fedoni all the time in the world because again, this was only his 8th game played. By the way, during the call, I apologize for reacting, but K-State decided to go for it on 4th and goal from the 4, and Will Howard got blown up, and the pass was intercepted, and Texas wins. So instead of trying to kick the field goal and forcing a second overtime, K-State rolls the dice, fails, and Texas survives.
Yep. Back to the phones we go. Here is Connor. Good afternoon, Connor.
How's it going, Gary?
Good, Connor. How you doing? You're on with myself and John.
Not too bad. For starters, let's just be honest with ourselves. This day was coming. We were gonna lose someday. I mean, maybe to 2-6 team, Michigan State.
They're 2-6, but I think Gary made a great point early on. You can't really look at the record because the teams were a lot more even than the records indicate.
Well, I mean, again, my point still stands. This day was coming. Right?
Yeah, you're right, Connor. Sure. Nebraska got what they deserved today.
Yeah, okay. And I mean, going along with that, this was the first time the defense really didn't bail out the offense. And the offense had to step up, and guess what they didn't do? They didn't step up. Now we lost. Am I wrong?
Nope. No argument here.
All right. I like it. And then my next point.
You're on a roll.
Who's last?
We're here to agree.
John?
Keep going. Keep going.
Nope,
Connor, keep focused. Keep going.
Oh. All right. My next point was so we got Mr. Rhule coaching the offensive line. We need to get rid of him and get Dylan in here. We need a nice QB.
I don't think it works that way.
All right.
Yeah,
Connor.
it does.
All right.
Okay.
Connor, you saved that one for the last. Thank you. Have a good evening. So he'll get on me on Twitter now, call me a pussy for saying that. And so I'm sorry if I just said a bad word, but I knew that was coming.
I didn't
I
hear
should have
anything.
cut it off earlier. Can you say that on there? I think I just said it on there. All right, here is
I
Scott.
got one. She's laying right over here.
Here is Scott. Good evening, Scott. Scott
Scott's-
gone. Let's get one more call, and then we'll take a
Scott's
break here.
verklempt.
This is Jason. Hello, Jason. Welcome to Big Red Overreaction.
Hey, how are you?
Good, Jason. How are you?
I'm good. So I got a couple of questions. Why does Matt Rhule decide, or is it Marcus Satterfield? I have no idea, to continue with Harburg when he cannot throw the ball and we have to throw the ball?
It's a great question. It's obvious this is where they're going. That there's something. I believed. I don't know what you thought, Gary, but I believe that Jeff Sims. He's just not into it. I don't know. There's something there that's missing. And so you wonder about Chuba, and of course we haven't seen Chuba in a meaningful moment yet this season. I don't believe.
No.
And I guess it's something that they're seeing, and it's probably in the way they run their offense. Again, a lot of these option plays, they've been grinding this with Harburg, and they figured this is the way to win. Unfortunately, it's not an offensive style at the moment that lends itself to playing from behind. And they fell behind, they stayed behind, and they couldn't come back.
Right, I get that. But what I don't understand is when you have to throw the ball, why is Harburg still the option?
I think, Jason, it comes down to this. John and I are with you. There's a lot of people that are with you. It's November 4th, and they don't trust their three quarterbacks that are in the room. That's frightening. To make plays when they have to make plays.
But if you're on the verge of bowl eligibility, and you win that extra game to get to bowl eligibility, why are we still doing this? It just doesn't make any
the good
sense.
news is they are still on the verge of bowl eligibility. They just missed on their first of 4 tries.
I mean, Jason, doesn't it feel like they feel that Harburg is less likely to turn the ball over than Sims, and it's going to happen? Let's see how far we can go without Harburg turning it over.
I mean, at this point, are we really thinking that right now?
That's what I'm gleaning from the way today was approached.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
So I watched the game, and I'm just like, this dude is not good. He's not a quarterback.
No.
Why are we still doing this?
Because unfortunately, it seems in their estimation, he's the best they've got.
Yep.
And that's scary.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That is very scary. And that's why if you set a foundation with 23, 24, the most important thing you do is to find a quarterback to elevate this team. Not stay the same, but you got to find a quarterback that elevates the team and also elevates your play caller.
Right. All I want is somebody to throw the ball downfield. That's it.
Yep.
Literally. And not only that, but I just contradict myself. You have to have somebody that's going to actually move around in the pocket.
Yep.
Stand like a statue.
Yeah. The awareness is, and Jason, thanks for the call. The awareness is an issue. And you kind of heard Matt Rhule. Matt Rhule was kind. He said, well, I got to go back and watch the tape. But he talked about pocket awareness, and that's a problem. And I know we'll get the pushback, John. Well, he's only stop. This was his 7th start today. Pocket awareness is something that you develop before you get to college and play at this level. And Harburg just doesn't have that. And today was one of those days, and I don't know if it was because he was a little bit more under pressure and he had more guys across his face. He was more skittish today than he has been. And he has been skittish, but today was one of those days where he was skittish, he was timid, and it was the wrong day to have that happen.
Yeah, and again, he had the 2 nice runs, the scramble in the first half and then the run that set up the touchdown in the fourth quarter. But he looked a little slower and less decisive than we have seen him. And I'm not saying he's been a great quarterback in terms of being decisive and being sudden, because at that size, it's hard to be sudden. But he seemed like he was maybe at 7/10 speed today. And I don't know if that's an injury that he's been nursing or the grind of the season or whatever it is, or the grass. Who knows what it was? He just didn't look quite as good. But even at his best, it's still, it is what it is. We know what he is. He's Wildcat plus.
Mm-hmm. That's the best way to describe it. He faced a defense today that gives up 234 yards per game through the air. And there were opportunities. Now there were a couple. It's almost like it's 3 steps back and then there's 1 step forward in the passing game. There were times today. He had a Doss, he had a Coleman, he had that Bullock one on the early pick that were open. You can't have a passing offense go against a passing defense that gives up 234, even if it's your weakness, and be 12 of 28 for only 129 yards. You just can't.
No.
Just can't. Let's take a quick break. Thomas, Nick, Nathan, Marty, I'll stay right there. It's Big Red Overreaction with John Bishop and Gary Sharp, brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Also, Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Dingman's Collision Center and Mechanical Repair. We'll have our keys a little bit later and more on the scoreboard. Texas defeats Kansas State 33-30. Earlier today, Indiana beat Wisconsin. Yep, one of those days if you're a Nebraska fan. It's Big Red Overreaction on 1620 The Zone and 1019 The Keg.
Peerless Energy Systems is Nebraska and Iowa's locally owned and operated authorized solar air compressor distributor. Peerless Energy Systems provides products and solutions for compressed air systems, helping companies in manufacturing, food processing, transportation, auto body repair, car dealers, and more. Driving industry efficiency through service, support, and relationships, let Peerless Energy Systems help you increase efficiency with your compressed air systems today. PeerlessEnergy.com.
It's Big Red Overreaction, brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Big Red Overreaction continues in 1 minute on 1620 The Zone and 1019 The Keg.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call on the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC. Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call on the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
When it comes to protecting your home, Jay Stennett Contracting takes pride in ensuring every detail is handled. Roofing, siding, gutters. When it comes to the exterior of your home, Jay Stennett Contracting has you covered. This fall, consider gutter guards to block debris and prevent clogs and save you the hassle of regular maintenance. Schedule a consultation today and let Jay Stennett Contracting's expert team and durable gutter guards ensure your gutters are working properly in every season. Jay Stennett Contracting. We have you covered. JSCRestoration.com.
The Big Red Overreaction postgame show, presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally, and Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also sponsored by Dingman's Collision and Mechanical Repair on 1620 The Zone and 1019 The Keg.
All right, John, Gary, and Joey here for you on Big Red Overreaction. Back to the phones we go. Could be a lively late afternoon. Here is Nick. Hello, Nick. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate being on the show.
Thank you for the call.
Wondering if you have the
Got to get my Coors Light in, baby.
How many times do we fair catch within the 10-yard line of a punt? I know you guys, you're probably not betting guys, but that thing goes in the end zone. We're out to 25. But how many times do we fair catch like at a 7? And why is that?
So, Nick, this is a good question. There was one time where Billy Kemp was back there and went with a fair catch, and John, in my estimation, if he lets it go into the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's down there from Michigan State to cover it.
If you watch how the ball came off of Kim's foot, it didn't look like it had the spin that it was going to back check. And I know it's grass there, so it won't bounce as much as it does on turf. But I thought at least I thought he should have.
Football is a weird ball, right? It could bounce anywhere.
Yep. I think, Nick, this is what you saw today was a direct result of last week. Is they were not catching the punt, and it was hurting them. And so they went into today thinking, we can get away with this. The rest of our operation will help us. We just got to catch the punt, Billy. Whatever you do, just catch the punt. And that's a good
for like 10 years.
Yeah, I know, but today was like just catch the punt.
Right,
You're not going to run.
that, yeah.
I think Nick, that's a good idea early, but when you start to figure out, man, we are losing the field position game, that's where Ethan Nation needs to enter the conversation earlier than the last punt of the game.
Right. I hear you. Love you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nick.
By the way, Gary, I'm looking on the stat monitor. The average starting field position for Michigan State is the 31, their own 31. For Nebraska, it was their own 23. Now, that does not sound in a one-time sample like a big advantage, but that's 8 yards per drive that Michigan State was starting better than Nebraska on average, and there were 13 drives in the game. So it accumulates. So even though it doesn't sound like 8 yards doesn't sound like a lot, there were 13 possessions for each team in this game. It made a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Here is Nathan. Nathan, welcome to Big Red Overreaction.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking the call. I just wanted to bring up a few points and then ask a couple questions to you guys. And I agree with the previous caller. You're taught at a very early age that you stick your feet on the 10-yard line, and if it's over your head, you just let it go. Maybe it checks up, maybe it doesn't, but you're losing so many yards doing that. Next comment is, as far as Satterfield goes, his offense, I don't get it. Why do we run the ball, get 12 to 15 yards back-to-back plays, and then start running bubble screens and getting sacked, and next thing you know, we're 3rd and 19? Does that make any sense to you guys at all? Are they trying to change it up? Is this what he did at South Carolina? Like, what is the deal?
Nathan, thanks for the phone call. So they tried some new wrinkles early. Here's the thing with Satterfield. I think Satterfield is a good play designer. I don't think Satterfield has a good plan B if that good play design doesn't end up in plus yardage. You get what I'm saying, John?
Yep.
So he doesn't know what to go on plan B. He'll have one good series a game where it makes sense. If you go back to, it's the drive.
Go back to Northern Illinois, first drive.
Yeah. Well, let's go back earlier in this game today. Okay. What was it? The pass? I think it was for 16 yards to Fedoni. And then they went with Nebraska doesn't have the personnel to run screen game. They just don't have the right quarterback. They don't have the right personnel to run screen game this year. They need to shelve that thing. But they love to do this tempo screen when they get a first down. And so after they got a third down, I'm pretty sure it was a third down pickup to Fedoni for 16. They tried to run a tempo screen to Alex Bullock. Did somebody then say to Satterfield, scrap this passing thing, let's start running it? Because then they went bang, 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 6 straight runs, and that's one that ends with Harburg in the end zone. But Satterfield is not a very good play caller. He's not an elite play caller. And then when you don't have an elite quarterback, they are a complete mess with each other. And they get off of schedule and they don't know what to do. And then you're grasping at straws when you think you have a good play called, because they ran some stuff. They ran some jet sweep a little bit. They ran Grant and Fleeks in the pistol a couple of times. Yeah. But when those got blown up, and Michigan State played pretty well today defensively, they played pretty well. He didn't know what to do as a plan B, as safe option, second down, let's make it manageable on third down. I think Nebraska spent the majority of the day, John, on third down. It was about 3rd and 9, seemed like every time.
Yeah, they were in a lot of 3rd and longs, which again, for this offense, it's not a great come from behind offense. It's also not a great behind the chains offense. And you're right. When they went quick, and I was looking back through the play chart. I remember the sequence. I was trying to find it so I could, look at it on the play-by-play chart. But, you go quick tempo and then you get blown up and all of a sudden your drive is kind of stalled. I just think that I think there's obviously Satterfield is not running the offense he originally intended to run. Yeah. I mean, there are some different things that they're doing. Obviously, he'd said it himself. He'd never coached really option football before. They added the 41 pitch, at the beginning of the season. There were a lot of different things. And so as they're trying to incorporate some new things that they're trying to teach into what he already had, that's difficult enough. But then when it comes to the actual rhythm of the play calling, I think sometimes Satterfield loses track of, oh, this is the offense we have, because it's almost like, oh, we hit a big play, and maybe his old tendency when he had Spencer Rattler at quarterback was go, go, go. He doesn't have Spencer Rattler at quarterback. And so I think the play design has to mesh, the play sheet has to mesh the play calling. And I don't think those things are coming together. Some of it understandable because, again, a lot of this offense appears to be a mishmash of a lot of different things that were not intended back in the offseason.
Yeah, and their passing concepts, it's more than just one read. And Harburg right now cannot get to the second level on his reads.
Yeah, you got to find, and I said this a couple of weeks ago, you got to find some simple throws. And I know the screen, is a simple throw, but some of those they just need to throw out. But man, see if you can set up a screen to your running backs, and let them catch and run with the football.
Yeah. All right, back to the phones. Here is Marty. Hello, Marty. Marty? Marty's gone. Marty, call back. Thomas, welcome to Big Red Overreaction. You're on with John and Gary.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
You're in the air.
How you doing, Thomas?
I'm not doing too bad. Are you guys?
We're doing bad. What can we do for you today?
You
know what show you're calling?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Big Red Overreaction.
Give it to us.
Okay.
I'm sorry, this is Radio Tradio. You have a couch you'd like to sit on.
Oh boy.
All right, Thomas, what's on your mind?
I'm kidding.
I just think we need a whole new offensive line. I mean, let's just get a clown on the sideline. He'll just be blowing up fucking.
Okay. Yeah. Should have known that, man. We were driving that car into the wall.
Somebody sounds like he started baking at about 8:00 this morning.
Boy, instead of going in reverse out of the driveway, we went and went right back into the garage.
We went through the garage door
right.
And then out the other side and through the kitchen.
I wanted to take a break there, but we can't finish on that. No swearing on the show today, folks. Here's Kevin. Yeah. Hello, Kevin. Oh, we are not doing well. We are like Nebraska today.
Yeah, this is going well. This is going really well.
Let's take a break. This is the show. If you're calling, and we'd love you to call. We would love to talk to you.
And then stay on the line so that when we go to you, you'll be there. We promise we'll get to you.
Jay Stennett Contracting Hotline 402-951-1620. Big Red Overreaction presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Also brought to you by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also, Dingman's Collision Center and Mechanical Repair, all bringing you Big Red Overreaction. Folks, just remember that on this day of despair, Nebraska volleyball had a reverse sweep last night against Penn State. There's John Bishop. I'm Gary Sharp. There's Joey as well. It is Big Red Overreaction on 1620 The Zone and 101.9 The Keg.
Tailgate parties call for burgers, brats, dogs, and whatever else you can slap on a bun. But those burgers, brats, dogs, and whatever else deserve the best buns. And the best buns come from Rotella's Italian Bakery. Crazy fresh, crazy delicious. So for your next party, pick some up at the bakery off 108th and Harrison or at your favorite grocery store. Fire up your grill and get ready for kickoff. Rotella's Italian Bakery, more than 100 years of tradition. Hey, can I get a burger with some cheese, lettuce, and tomato? Thanks.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain Cold Refreshment made to chill. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
It's Big Red Overreaction, brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Big Red Overreaction continues in 1 minute on 1620 The Zone and 101.9 The Keg.
Peerless Energy Systems is Nebraska and Iowa's locally owned and operated authorized solar air compressor distributor. Peerless Energy Systems provides products and solutions for compressed air systems, helping companies in manufacturing, food processing, transportation, auto body repair, car dealers, and more. Driving industry efficiency through service, support, and relationships, let Peerless Energy Systems help you increase efficiency with your compressed air systems today. PeerlessEnergy.com.
At Dingman's, we are working for you before you even walk through our doors. Our level of commitment to industry involvement and continuing education is second to none. Through our ongoing involvement, we stay current with all the best repair procedures for the ever-changing vehicle. This includes working with auto and paint manufacturers, as well as insurance companies. Our repair facilities are set up with the latest repair and technology. Our ongoing work is to ensure that when you do need us, we are able to provide you with the safest, best repair possible. Because at Dingman's, we would rather be the best than apologize for anything less. Dingmans.com.
More info and opinions on Big Red than one station can handle. Big Red Overreaction, presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. And Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. On 1620 The Zone and 1019 The Keg.
It is Big Red Overreaction, a little racy edition under the lights of Mother Nature. On 1620 The Zone.
It is sunny. Yay!
1019 The Keg. Man, the weather wasn't great. It was dark and drab in East Lansing. I mean, the whole day was completely off. The whole vibe. You know what? There was no vibe whatsoever. That's another part of a lot of this 20-17 loss by Nebraska, John, is Nebraska fed into the vibe of that stadium and the game. Yeah. The way the game was played, there's no sense of urgency, and they laid an egg. It's been a while since we've had one of those like WTF moments, and it was a thud. It was a thud today.
Yeah, and obviously the Michigan game was terrible, but most of that was on Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. I mean, it's been a while since Nebraska's really laid an egg, because you can go back to the Minnesota game and the defense played really well. Except for at the very end. The Colorado game, the defense was awesome in the first half, and then they just wore out as the turnovers piled up. So you could find, positives in that. There's not a lot of positives to find out of this. And again, I'm not saying the defense was awful, but unfortunately they just weren't up to the standard that they have been at. And occasionally you're going to have those games. I've heard coaches all the time say, you're going to win. You're going to have a third of your games you're going to play above your expectation. A third of your games you're going to play about where you're supposed to be, and a third of the games you're going to play below your expectation. And today was one of those games, and against a team that is probably, or at least close enough to being your equal, and on the road, it's not going to be good enough to win.
Yeah, and the defense in the fourth quarter after they gave up that touchdown, I mean, they had 3 straight drives where it was 3 and out, and essentially that last missed field goal was 3 and out, but it was just too little, too late. I mean, they messed with fire all day and they got burned, and now they got to wait and see what happens next week when they welcome Maryland for an 11 a.m. kick that nobody will be able to watch. Here is Eric. Hello, Eric. Welcome to Big Red Overreaction.
Hey, hello. Good morning, guys, or good afternoon, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Promise I'm 100% sober. So
good.
Hey, since you guys kind of got into the quarterback talk and the talent evaluation and everything, Gary, can I put you on the spot for a little bit?
Yeah.
Who would you take at quarterback for Nebraska from that game last night? Be honest.
Oh, West Side Bellevue West?
Because I've seen them play multiple times. Both of them play multiple times, and I really struggle. I really struggle leaving the games, not seeing
Anthony.
the West Side
Yeah,
quarterback.
Anthony.
Yep.
And I think Danny in a college offense with a better offensive line.
Yeah.
I'll wait judgment, because I think he doesn't have as much time as he'll have on the college level. But Anthony's a winner to me.
Yep.
And you find a place for him on your roster. I don't care if he's not your quarterback. You find a place for him to be part of your program.
And he's smart too. I mean, he's being recruited by all the Ivy League schools and everything. So I mean, he's a winner. He's smart. I mean, he's got all the measurables. I mean, it's a pretty tough one to stomach, I guess. So,
well,
Gary, I'm curious, Gary, would he take on a scholarship from Nebraska if he wasn't promised quarterback?
Yes.
Okay.
But I don't think that's going to come. I mean, I think when Marcus Freeman calls you up and says, hey, we just want you here with your brother, and you could be our holder next year, and you could be running out of the tunnel day one at Kyle Field for Notre Dame, Texas A&M. We want you in the program. We'll find a place on the field for you initially, not at your position, and then we will let you work into it. Here's the thing, Eric, about the quarterback moving forward, because I don't know. I mean, I don't know what Nebraska wants to do offensively moving forward. You know, what they're going to be looking at is quarterbacks. Are we going pro style? Are we going dual? Are we going option? What does Nebraska want to do moving forward at that position? Oh, Eric, hang up. Sorry about that, Eric. Wow. Hello. No, I think we've all kind of wondered that. I know you've talked about it. You and Josh have talked about it, John, is trying to get a semblance of what Nebraska looks like offensively next year and beyond by what they're going to have at the quarterback position. Is it going to be a Harburg type? Is it going to be a Sims type? Or is it going to be more of a pro-style guy like Danny Kaelin?
I don't know. And I mean, based on how they've recruited, it seems like it's trending towards the latter. But then we've seen what they've done this year. I still think, you know, you want somebody who, you know, is, I know I've used the phrase shot or Wildcat plus a lot, but maybe pro-style plus, meaning he can move a little bit. He can run. He's got mobility. But because that's what Rattler really was.
Yep.
And you know, if that's what they're looking for, fine. But the problem is with a year like this is you really can't get a great view of what it is they exactly want because they've obviously gone off script.
Exactly. You know, and I mean, I just want a quarterback that plays quarterback. I'm done with an athlete that plays quarterback. I need a quarterback that plays quarterback, that has good quarterback IQ, that his decision-making is not, you know, it is on point. And when you need a quarterback to make a play, they make a play. Do I need an elite quarterback? I'd love to have one. I just need a quarterback that can make plays, and you're going to win because of him, not in spite of him. And that's why Satterfield really needs a good quarterback to be successful, because I don't think Satterfield can overcome quarterback play that is spotty. I just don't think he's a good enough play caller in having a feel for the game and a feel for the guy that's throwing the football.
Gary, quarterback cannot be a developmental position in the sense where, you know, you take a high school linebacker and convert him to a tight end or vice versa. You don't take somebody from somewhere else and convert him. It's a development position, and you take someone who's got quarterback instinct, quarterback skill, and develop them. But it's not a position, or at least it shouldn't be, in my opinion, at this level where you're moving people who, you know, probably should be doing something else and try to fit them into that unless you're in an absolute emergency situation. So I agree. I you know, the idea of, you know, you can have athletes who are quarterbacks, but they need to be quarterbacks first and athletes second.
Here is Mark. Mark, thanks for the call. Welcome to Big Red Overreaction with John and Gary.
Hey guys, you pretty much completely stole my entire call.
We're sorry, but hey, don't you can make a point. That's fine.
So I mean, you know, watching the game, I had about as much emotion for this game as the telecasters and the people in the stands, and just didn't feel right from get-go. And, you know, just watch it. I will give Satterfield some grace. I don't know much about him. But coming in to have to try to make the salad that he has to make every week with having a guy like Harburg back there, coming from what he used to coach, that cannot be an easy task. You know, and when a guy cannot complete basic patterns, you know, out balls, just that inaccurate, you know, that's putting you behind the 8 ball right away. But I'm wondering what they want to do at quarterback, you know. If you we need a quarterback. I completely agree with you, Gary, that we need a quarterback. Enough of this athlete thing. It just doesn't work. But you watch all these teams just throw the ball around and one-handed catches and sideline balls and the things that hurt us all the time. And we just don't have that in our game.
Yep.
And that. So I wonder how much different we would look this year if we had a kid that could just step back and deliver the ball, but didn't have the running skill. Would we really be any better? Would we have some pluses here, but minuses on, Harburg's legs are kind of what have got us in near the
But do you think, Mark, though, that would have opened up the running? It opens up the running game for running backs because you don't have 8-9 guys in the box or 7 to 8 max in the box.
If you can step back and deliver the intermediate balls really well, yeah, I do. I wonder how much not having a guy like that this year, maybe even next year, is going to retard the development of those young receivers.
Mark, Mark, thanks for the phone call.
No, that it's a good point, and I wonder if he was, working down the path, because I saw a few people on Twitter mention Mr. Thompson. If a quarterback like a Casey Thompson were still here and could make those throws, I would argue, and I know you can go both ways on this, but the one side is, well, but look at all the receiver injuries and the receivers aren't as good. But then when you look at the guys, Gary, that are running free over the middle, there was the play, and I think it was the third quarter, where you had, it looked like, I apologize, I don't remember who was running across the middle, but they decided to throw downfield, and it was an incomplete pass. It was kind of thrown into traffic to Malachi, but you had someone cutting across the middle on a 3rd and long where all you have to do is dump it off to him and he can run free. If you have, so there are players that are running free out there. If you have somebody who can read better and can find those guys, even with the deficiencies Nebraska has in terms of wide receiver experience, and you could make the argument that they would be better off. Now, I get it. There's the other side of it that says, well, you've gotten to this point because Harburg can run, and that's great. But, we're seeing the deficiencies in what happens when you fall behind. You don't have a type of quarterback or a type of an offense that can bring you back.
Yeah, they had some man beaters today where they won those, and they just – Heinrich is still a one-read guy. And that pass to Coleman that you're alluding to, you had a safety that was roaming to go make a play.
Yeah.
And, you threw into double coverage, but if you look that off because it's a dangerous throw and you just pause for a second and a half and then you jump to the second read, I think it was Doss that was open on the other side of the field. Here's the best way to sum up the passing game. So the first interception that is thrown where, it could have been, you essentially went, oh, well, that was a punt. But still, you don't want that early in the game.
No.
It wasn't
because there was a wide open receiver.
And it wasn't, Bullock was open, but it wasn't because of the scheme. It was because the DB fell down.
Yeah.
But the touchdown pass was there. So that's not scheme. That's on a quarterback making a play with a wide open wide receiver. And you don't ever go, oh, man, we had a great play drawn up and Bullock won the battle. No, the DB fell down and he was wide open. Yeah. You got to complete that. They have such a small margin for error in the passing game that when Harburg does make the right read, Bullock later in the game, you got to catch that ball.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that was, too, not to excuse Bullock entirely, but I think that was a timing issue as well, because that ball came on him quick. As soon as he came out of that route and he looked, the ball was on him, still should have made the catch. But I think that's another timing issue that, a better quarterback maybe, throws that a little bit better and a better receiver makes that catch.
Here is Jason. Jason, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. I called in earlier, dropped the call, and I wasn't done with what I was saying. So, a couple of things. So, who do you think it was that decided Jeff Sims was the guy out of the portal?
Well, I'm guessing that would have been Matt Rhule and Marcus Satterfield.
So there again, do you think it was Satterfield or do you think it was Rhule like overpowering.
On the decision on Sims?
Yes.
Well, Matt Rhule was already on to Jeff Sims and convinced Satterfield that this was the way to go.
Okay, so I mean, we all know where this is going, but what was it that they saw that was so interesting or inviting that this was their dude?
I really don't know.
I mean, there was kids in the portal like Bo Nix. There was kids like Drew Aller. There was kids like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
hold on,
we went for Jeff Sims.
You think you would have had those guys?
Hold on.
No.
Bo Nix was not in the portal last year. You're talking about the quarterback of Penn State?
Yes, Drew Aller. Yes,
he was in the portal last year.
He's a recruited guy.
What? No, Jason. No. Yeah. John. Yes. John is right. Where are we going here?
Okay, so I guess what I'm saying is, you have all these guys in the portal, and you went for Jeff Sims.
That's the guy they thought they could get. Jason, they made a mistake. They fanned on that. They fanned on that, and it has impacted them all season long. There's nothing they can do right now. You give them a mulligan, and you realize that, man, I don't know. I'm a little shaky on your evaluation. You're going to have to hit a home run to get your 24 quarterback.
So, and that's where I was listening to the show and the 2024 quarterback. Where do we go from here?
Well, we'll know when the portal opens up December 4th. You're not going with what's on your roster right now.
Right. I mean, even the kid from Omaha, we can't like, he's not. Yeah.
He's not coming in to start and play right away.
No, absolutely not.
Yes.
So what do we do now? Like, we're in trouble.
Go to the portal. Well, I mean, how many times do you have to say it?
I get that, but what I'm saying is, where where does this happen?
In the portal.
You want me to, Jason? Okay, continue.
No, you're good. You're good.
I mean, there's the portal. If good quarterbacks are quarterbacks that are looking to leave, they're not in the portal yet. But if you have connections and you already are alerted to some guys that will jump into the portal. I mean, Nebraska has to go find a quarterback. Okay, there's a little interesting approach to it, John. What happens if there's a young quarterback that's got 2-3 years of eligibility that you really, really like, compared to a guy that's got maybe a year and possibly he's on the Jeff Sims plan? You know, or do you need an older veteran guy that has played Jeff Sims type college football in terms of games, or is there a young quarterback that is promising that went somewhere where he just can't beat out the guy in front of him, but he was really good coming out of high school?
Who knows? But we'll find out. We'll find out once that portal opens.
Portal opens December 4th.
Yeah, we'll see it. We'll see it when it's there, and who knows? Who knows what direction they'll go in? It'll be very telling what they think because is it going to be we're going to find somebody that fits exactly what we want to do, what we're built to do, or do we find somebody and then marry the system to whatever that person does? It'll be real fascinating to see how they play this, but there will be options in the portal. We know that.
You owe it to your team and your young wide receivers not to stunt their growth and development and get a quarterback that can elevate them.
Unless a miracle happens, Gary, the starting quarterback in 2024 is not in this roster or on this roster right now.
No, I think you and I said that a month ago. Here is Mike. Mike, good afternoon. Welcome to Big Red Overreaction on 1620 The Zone and 101.9 The Keg.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I was just calling in reference to I'm a little puzzled, honestly, by a lot of the game plan today. Like, we won 5 out of 6 games by doing a lot of option football, and I feel like we completely abandoned the option game today completely, and just don't understand if they were purely trying to keep Heinrich from taking hits, but it was a lot more like zone read type runs, and even we didn't really hand it off to the running backs a lot, who were averaging 4+ yards a carry. Just doesn't make sense to me. It's like you win that many games and then you don't really run any true option. Like like we have been. Just curious to hear your thoughts on that. And then the second piece of my comment is around just the punt returns. And you guys might have talked about this earlier, but regardless of who's back there returning the punts, if they're inside the 10, why are we fair catching it ever? Why
you and 1.8 million other people are asking that same question.
Yeah, why are we taking take the chances with the way the ball bounces, right? Like you're not.
Yeah, because I guarantee you at least half those punts go in the end zone. So you're taking it at the 20, and the ones that get down at the 2, they get down at the 2, but you're still going to come out ahead on average.
Right. What do you guys think about the lack of just running the straight option?
Well, I think it goes back to what I thought about Harburg today. I don't know. Something was off, and I don't know if it's a health issue or not. Now, personally, I was hoping we would see more establishment of the zone run game this week than we had seen in previous weeks, and we got a little bit of that. And so I wasn't that disappointed. It is interesting. We didn't see. I don't know. Did we see the belly option play action?
They tried it early. Credit to Michigan State. So the first time they tried it, Michigan State did a really good job of not biting on it, and they defended it at the line of scrimmage, and also the defensive backs. Their defensive backs won a lot of battles today. So they did a good job. They diagnosed it right away, and it didn't go anywhere. Nebraska didn't turn it over, and they ate it. I just think Michigan State won a lot of battles at the line of scrimmage, and they're above average on their run defense. And so you could see early on, Satterfield tried to get away from and open it up a little bit, away from the just strictly quarterback handoff game. He started to run some jet sweeps. I mean, look at what they tried to do with Fleeks right away. The first play of the game for Nebraska offensively. Michigan State beat Nebraska up front, and Nebraska just didn't have a plan B. And the option was not smooth. Just something about Harburg was really timid today running it. And we already know that it's not a perfect thing. Just
Michigan
State defensively played pretty well. Their defensive backs, they held Nebraska's young wide receivers in check. There were not many busts. The few that were open, Nebraska never found them.
I know that there was a few sacks taken. In fact, there were, 7 sacks today. I didn't realize it was that many. So you had sacks, so 41. I'm trying to do the quick math here. In terms of sack adjusted running, it still wasn't great. So it would have ended up being 34 carries for 111 or 113 yards. So it's not great. But this is the 4th straight game they've been under 4 yards a carry, not sack adjusted. And they had been averaging between 5 and 6 the front half of the season. So slowly but surely, the run game has been more and more neutralized as we have gone through the season, and that trend continued today.
Nathan is with us. Nathan, welcome to Big Red Overreaction.
Hey, thank you for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
I was just really kind of disappointed by the way they handled the punt return. I think it's just when you automatically going to go out for a fair catch, you're throwing a guy out there who's got knee troubles. Everybody in the world knows that. That's just a bad mentality. That's a don't want to lose mentality rather than wanting to win. There's things that you can maybe do. They kind of did it when they had Ethan Nation go in for the punt return on the last punt that they had, where they played a guy a little bit further back, if you're worried about the fumble, and, put 2 guys back there. I think that, I don't know. I think they just kind of gave up on it and said, if we get it, we get it. But they had 3 or 4 drives that started within the 10-yard line. So that just hurts an offense that can't do anything the way it is. Another thing that kind of confuses me is what's wrong with sitting the quarterback for a series, just letting somebody else go in there, let the quarterback see it from the sideline, maybe give him a headset, talk through what play is being run. I mean, we see it on TV. The game's a lot slower. Maybe you can kind of see it, the game slow down. The rush, I know, plays into a lot of effect for the defense or for the quarterback. It's hard to see when you got guys just coming in like crazy at you. But, maybe that destroys the kid's confidence. I don't know. But for a series, just try to get the game to slow down. Same thing with Sims. everybody was saying, you can't take him out. You can't take him out because that'll destroy his confidence. For one series, just let him see it. Slow the game. Try to slow the game down.
Hey, Nathan, let me ask you this. Let me ask this real quick, and I'll let you continue. If Jeff Sims doesn't get hurt against Colorado, but they take him out at the end of the game because the game was out of hand, is Jeff Sims still the quarterback at Nebraska?
Well, I'm not saying like at the end, like for this game instance, like the first half, let him play the whole half. Halfway through the third quarter, nothing changed. The game was still moving way too fast for him. Just one series, one series. Let him see it from a different angle. Talk him through it. Just try to slow it down. I mean, it's blatant that the game is too fast for these guys. They're just not seeing it.
Yep.
They're just not seeing it.
Nathan, thanks for the call. I agree about Harburg has a hard time seeing. I just think seeing the whole big picture, seeing 11 on 11 out there on the field. Why I brought that up, and I don't know if you got a sense where I'm going here, John. Matt Rhule doesn't seem like the guy that is comfortable playing two quarterbacks or rotating series. And Jeff Sims was not pulled due to performance. It was because of an injury.
Yes. No, I think where you were going with that question, yes. If Jeff Sims doesn't leave the Colorado game because of injury, Jeff Sims starts the Northern Illinois game and is probably still the starter right now.
It's I don't know. They got 3 more games in the regular season, and hopefully a bowl game. They should get to a bowl game, but they've got to figure that room out, and it's going to take not just a player coming in. I think they're going to have for the first time in a while. They're going to have a true good quarterback coach, not quarterback / OC, but a good quarterback coach to coach guys up. Because there's a lot of the quarterback 101 that we keep seeing from Harburg week after week that should not be the case this far into his college career. Whether last year was a throwaway year or not, we're now 8 starts into the season.
Yep.
Or 7 starts into the season.
Hit for Harburg. What is the record? Yeah, he's 7 starts into the season.
Here is Todd in Connecticut. Hello, Todd. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Gary. Thanks for taking my call. I start off by saying it is great to actually be able to want to watch games at this point, because the past few years has been, if I have anything else to do, I have to choose do I want to do that or watch the game. So it's great to actually watch the games. In regard to Satterfield, I'm pretty sure South Carolina in the offseason received an excessive celebration penalty when they found out he was leaving, because he's been all over the place. And I don't know if that's due to him not having the tools at his disposal because the offensive line has been so bad, or if that's just who he is. But that kind of leads me into my next thing. Everyone's talking about, and it's obvious, we need to get a quarterback through the portal. But I think Nebraska's offensive line, you have to go elsewhere and improve that. But you're not going to get anyone to come to Lincoln who just wants to stand back there and get beat up play after play after play, and that's what's happening. You got to give the guy a chance. And in regard to Sims, you guys were talking about would Sims still be the quarterback? I don't know if he would. I think Sims has shown who he is. He may have started against Northern Illinois, but I think showing who he is, he would have ultimately been taken out. He can't protect the ball enough, I don't think.
Well, sadly, neither can the guy who replaced him. So, I mean,
they're in a no-win situation.
They are. They're in a really bad situation. By the way, quick scoreboard update brought to you by Peerless Energy Systems, helping increase efficiency with your compressed air system. Okie State has added a field goal to their lead. They're up 10 on Oklahoma halfway through the second. Georgia leads Missouri 10-7. Missouri ball in Georgia territory. So, a couple of games. Oh, and Florida State, midway through the second quarter, still tied with Pitt. 2-6 Pitt. 0-0.
Great sport, man. Week after week, you never know what's going to happen.
It's given us some good games already.
So in the West, Wisconsin got beat by Indiana today.
Right.
They have 8 minutes to go in the first half. Illinois, Minnesota are tied at 14.
Oh, and it's scoreless at Wrigley in the fourth inning.
See, you had an opportunity to help yourself today, and that's just added on to what could be.
Did you see, Gary? It was a couple weeks ago. Someone put out the doomsday scenario where everyone tied with the exact same record in the division.
4-5, baby.
Now, I don't know if it's followed that path, but I mean, we very well could have still a 4-way tie. Well, let's see. Could it be a 5-way tie? Because if Northwestern wins, wouldn't it be a 5-way tie?
Northwestern actually could help themselves greatly here at the end because they still have Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. Yeah. Oh, well. Big Red Overreaction brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Also, Big Red Overreaction brought to you by Coors Light. John's drinking one right now, keeping Nebraska chill.
I think I'm going to get another.
Dingman's Collision Center and Mechanical Repair. Wade, Mike, JJ, Skip, stay right there. If you're trying to get on the show, you're trying to get in on the Jay Stinnett Contracting Hotline, 402-951-1620. Keep trying. We'll get you in. Joey's taking your calls here as well on 1620 The Zone and 1019 The Keg.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
When it comes to protecting your home, Jay Stinnett Contracting takes pride in ensuring every detail is handled. Roofing, siding, gutters. When it comes to the exterior of your home, Jay Stinnett Contracting has you covered. This fall, consider gutter guards to block debris and prevent clogs and save you the hassle of regular maintenance. Schedule a consultation today and let Jay Stinnett Contracting's expert team and durable gutter guards ensure your gutters are working properly in every season. Jay Stinnett Contracting. We have you covered. JSCRestoration.com.
It's Big Red Overreaction, brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Big Red Overreaction continues in 1 minute on 1620 The Zone and 1019 The K.
At Dingman's, we are working for you before you even walk through our doors. Our level of commitment to industry involvement and continuing education is second to none. Through our ongoing involvement, we stay current with all the best repair procedures for the ever-changing vehicle. This includes working with auto and paint manufacturers, as well as insurance companies. Our repair facilities are set up with the latest repair and technology. Our ongoing work is to ensure that when you do need us, we are able to provide you with the safest, best repair possible. Because at Dingman's, we would rather be the best than apologize for anything less. Dingmans.com.
Tailgate parties call for burgers, brats, dogs, and whatever else you could slap on a bun. But those burgers, brats, dogs, and whatever else deserve the best buns. And the best buns come from Rotella's Italian Bakery. Crazy fresh, crazy delicious. So for your next party, pick some up at the bakery off 108th and Harrison or at your favorite grocery store. Fire up your grill and get ready for kickoff. Rotella's Italian Bakery, more than 100 years of tradition. Hey, can I get a burger with some cheese, lettuce, and tomato? Thanks.
Big Red Overreaction is live on 1620 The Zone and 1019 The K. Featuring the most important voice of all, yours. Presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. And Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Sound off now. 402-951-1620.
All right, Big Red Overreaction after Nebraska falls at Michigan State 20-17. Huskers now 5-4. They'll come home. They'll play Maryland next Saturday at 11 a.m. Quick check here. Maryland and Penn State are playing. And did Maryland just score? They were down 14-0.
I got like 3 screens going here, and that's one game I don't have on right now. By the way, Pitt did score on Florida State, so they're up 7-0.
It is 14-7. Penn State leads Maryland. Nittany Lions got the ball back with 6 minutes to go in the first half. A day today where Nebraska has struggled to throw the football, and they've been able to stay above board. But when they needed to throw the football today, they could not throw the football and just compounded on a lot of other things where Nebraska did not do well today. They fall, again, 22-17 and another close game against Michigan State. Back to the phones we go on Big Red Overreaction. Here is Mike out in Alliance. Hello, Mike. Thanks for the call.
Hey, guys, good show today so far.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, I just got a quick question. Who makes out the time schedules for these? Is that week by week? It seems like our last 4 games are possibly all going to be, well, here in the Panhandle, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. That's pretty early for us down here, and I can't have one of those cooler lights that early. But
it's the TV folks that make those schedules. It's the TV folks. It's the TV folks who make those schedules. Yeah.
It's not the Big Ten then.
No. The television networks. Part of the television contract is the networks. The networks, they draft the games or the weeks that they want, and then they pick the games that they want, and they fit them into the time slots that they have. So.
Okay, that clarifies. I was just kind of wondering if it was the Big Ten. It seemed like the Big Ten kind of had it out for us Nebraska people since we joined, but if it's the TV people, then I guess there ain't much we can do about that.
Well, that's one of the drawbacks.
Today so far.
Hey, thanks.
Thank you, Mike.
That's one of the drawbacks of being in the Big Ten is historically they have liked the 11 a.m. time window. So, so when they sign their deals with the TV networks, they tell them, yeah, we're perfectly fine with 11 a.m. So, and I'm talking Central Time, obviously out in the Panhandle, it's 10 a.m. So, yep, that's how it goes. When you make multi-billion dollars on a big TV contract, you sign over the rights to the networks to pick the time and sometimes the day.
So it'll be curious now. So 11 a.m. next week, 11 a.m. Black Friday. The only one unknown is Wisconsin. Probably will know on Monday. Wisconsin losing today, Nebraska losing today. I think there was some thought that could be a Peacock primetime or an NBC primetime game. I now wonder if that gets to be like a 2:30 BTN game.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the schedule. I don't know what the schedule for the rest of the week is for that, but that it'll obviously depend on, who else is playing and what the TV network decides to do.
Skip is been holding. Thanks for holding, Skip. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I am completely sober, and I'm not going to drop any bombs on you, I promise.
Thank you.
It's a little frustrating to listen to some of the fans. The guy talking about the quarterbacks, have you watched the NFL? How many of those guys take first-round picks that don't pan out? All right, that's one of the hardest things to do in football. So could you make some adjustments and get different guys in within the situation? Sure, but you just don't get to go out there and pick dudes out, especially when you're Nebraska now and not Alabama, and you're not Georgia, and you're not Clemson, or anything like that. But if I would have came to everybody here and said in August that we'd be almost bowl eligible, we could win the West with 3 games left, you all would have told me I drank all the beer and didn't have any idea what was going on. Rhule is the guy. He's our guy. Hang with him. We'll get there. You listen to him in his press conference, and he talked about his 40 freshmen he has developing. It's going to work, but we got to be patient. I am worse than anybody. I've just got to check myself. When I was expecting 2 or 3 wins, anything after that really is a bonus. Frustrating loss, true, but and finally, it's always a decent day when Notre Dame loses. Thanks, guys.
Skip, thanks for the phone call.
Wow, he was only expecting 2 or 3 wins. That's I never heard anyone go that low, but okay. I guess if you were expecting 2 or 3 wins and they got 5, you would be very happy right now.
It's a frustrating day. I mean,
it is.
Skip mentioned the F word. It's a frustrating day because of what was in front of Nebraska. I don't think anybody jumped off said,
No.
Well, I was all in last week and now I'm off. This is the Minnesota and Michigan State game are really, really frustrating because Nebraska has the ability to beat those teams this year, and they had opportunities in front of them, and they just weren't able to come through. Now, in the past, when you've had those games, you had no hope for the following Saturday. Like, oh, well, that's going to be a once in a 11, 12 game season. At least in this case, you're like, okay, let's see how they regroup. That's what I'm now very curious. In the past, you'd be like, oh, doomsday. It's going to derail them. It's going to beat them twice. And that'll be probably the main focus when they start preparation for next week is don't let the performance against Michigan State beat you twice and take away from what is still out. Your minimum goal was to make a bowl game. It's still attainable.
You got 3 games left to do it against teams that all have obvious flaws. They just have to clean this up. I mean, the good news is outside of the interception late in the first quarter on the arm punt, at least Nebraska didn't put themselves behind the 8 ball at the beginning of the game. But that they're still turning the ball over way too much. By the way, the record now is 4-17 since 2019, when Nebraska has lost the turnover margin on the road. So they've been playing with fire, Gary, because literally I went back over 50 years and couldn't find 3 straight wins when they've lost the turnover margin. And today they would have had to have done it 4 straight times. I mean, they were pressing their luck. They had to play a cleaner game, and they didn't do it.
Yeah, and, one of the things we all thought is that Michigan State wouldn't play a clean game.
And that they would choke, which they almost tried to do.
Well,
but
their management at the end of the game to give the ball back to Nebraska was unreal. But the fact that Michigan State didn't turn the ball over today, that's why they won a 3-point game.
Their turnover margin was -7, and Nebraska's is -9. I mean, they were basically in the same neighborhood, and Michigan State did not turn the ball over. And that's when you play a thin margin of error like Nebraska does, it's eventually, numbers like -9 are going to come back to hurt you. And that's what happened. Part of it.
Here is JJ. Hello, JJ. Welcome to Big Red Overreaction.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good, JJ. Thank you.
Yeah, first-time caller, so I'm a 6A, 6B listener. So I appreciate you guys. You guys are great.
Thank you.
My thing is, like, the second quarter where they're running the ball for 16-yard run, and then we start running those stupid Scott Frost bubble screens. Like, what are we doing there with that, right? I mean, and my last thing I got is Harburg is not going to be the guy. Is that I forget which one of you guys said that. The quarterback is not on the roster this year, right?
Yeah, we both agree on that.
When you guys, yeah. I mean, obviously he's not. He's doing the best he can, and he runs hard and all that, but he cannot throw, and there's too many things he missed, like that. That turnover. Yeah, it was a great punt, but it should have been a touchdown. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things.
Yep.
Again,
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Gary.
No, finish, JJ. You're fine.
Oh no, it's just frustrating to watch this team play sometimes because they can be so good, and then all of a sudden, like the defense today was really frustrating to watch. It's just like we can do it. I'm on the phone, baby. Sorry, my daughter's ignoring me. But yeah, I don't know. I think we get one. I think we have one more win, or maybe 2 in us. So thank you guys. I'm sorry, I gotta go. My daughter's.
Oh, you're fine. Hey, thank you, JJ, for listening.
Priorities.
Nebraska's probably today the same team they've been for a month. They just got into a situation where one element of their phase of the defense couldn't bail them out for shoddy play on one other side, and they paid for it. I think also we focused a lot on what has ailed Nebraska today. You got to give credit to Michigan State. Michigan State had lost 6 in a row, and they had been just bludgeoned. And Michigan State defensively, I thought had a really good game plan today, and they played well. They didn't have many busts. I mean, they made anything Nebraska did offensively that were gainers. They made them work for it. So kudos to them, man. Hat tip to Michigan State. They're still bowl alive. They got to win 3 in a row, but I thought they had a good game plan defensively today against Nebraska. They knew what they were up against in Harburg, and they said, we're going to make Harburg beat you. Yep. Beat us, excuse me. And Harburg couldn't do it.
It's another day, Gary, where Nebraska's run defense was excellent. 31 carries, 63 yards. Heck, even if you take out the sacks, the 3 sacks, it's still sub 100 yards rushing. The problem was the quarterback play was better on the Michigan State side of things. Hauser went 13 of 20. Levitt got the touchdown. I disagree with the replay official.
Yes.
That it should have been a touchdown, but it is what it is. There were terrible calls really throughout the game that benefited both teams. But, Michigan was better at the quarterback position today. They had a good game plan. They pressured Harburg really well. And, last week Nebraska was able to get by with a makeshift offensive line. This week, not so much. Austin Evans-Jenkins has had a couple of decent games, but today I saw him get beat a couple of times, which is, again, is to be expected when you're having to fight through this. It's still pretty impressive that we're talking 5-4 right now. We're still talking possible, or at least still being in the division race right now, given everything that has happened this season. You don't really have a good quarterback on the roster. You've had injuries up the wazoo. You've really had to lean into a defense that had to learn to a new system. So overall, going back a couple of calls, there's a lot to be happy about. It's just unfortunately the way you're set up, you're not set up to win a lot of games where you have to score, 4 or 5 times on offense. It's just that's where they are right now.
Yeah, and they also just the whole day, offense, defense, special teams, they never got that big game-changing explosive play, which they've been able to find the last couple of weeks.
By the way, they are in the middle of the 5th inning at Wrigley Field and no score. That's translation for halftime.
If I'm looking at
if Northwestern wins, Gary, and Illinois beats Minnesota, we have a 5-way tie because Northwestern will jump in and Nebraska won't have lost any ground. So positive.
There will be, this is probably for a discussion we get past today. There will have to be, I think, some clarification from the Big Ten about why that final play, it wasn't the final play, but the next to final play, the fumble was not reviewed.
Because it was close enough. I think,
in that situation, yes.
I only saw it once. I think the call was right, that it was a fumble. But in that situation, especially now, in my personal opinion, replay should only be a challenge system. So it would have required a Nebraska challenge. But under the rules that college runs under, where it's very liberal, you can challenge anything, or you don't even have to challenge anything. All the calls are basically made from upstairs. Why the call was not made from upstairs? Very questionable.
Here is Wade. Wade, welcome to Big Red Overreaction on 1620 The Zone and 101.9 The Keg.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. Thank you, sir.
I'm a little late joining the show today, but so some of this y'all might have already talked about. But
are you going to talk about punts fielded inside the 10?
Well, that's one thing for sure.
That has been talked about a lot.
The most disappointing thing to me was not that they played. The defense didn't play terrible or anything like that. It wasn't that. It's just the whole day from the time I turned the TV on, and I didn't sleep well last night. So in the middle of the night, I got up and set my alarm for 10:40 so that I wouldn't miss the start of the game. But once I got my coffee and sat down and looked at the atmosphere in that place, the whole thing was just kind of blah. The whole day felt blah. The team felt blah. It was like I couldn't tell if they really wanted it to be there or not. And that was the last thing I was expecting, was for them to come out and just kind of be like not that excited looking to be there, really. It wasn't like it was a packed stadium or anything. So I don't know. I get frustrated watching the team because of the offense. You can't ask the defense to do everything. But Harburg is not a pocket passer. I mean, we've established that by now. And when you look at the when we get the ball back with 2.5 minutes to go and 2 timeouts, I didn't understand the need to make it look like we were going to run the hurry up offense with him just dropping back to throw it every time. And why can't we put him in more RPOs? Run the option, put him in RPOs. I mean, he's better at throwing on the run than he is out of the pocket anyway. He's more prone to take a sack when he could just throw it away, and he doesn't do that. And I said it last week when I called in. We were talking about 3-game win streak. Look at the division. Look at the standings, and we could, who knows what could happen. Well, and I said anything's possible, but nothing's possible if we don't clean up the turnovers. And we didn't clean up the turnovers, and we lost the game. And, when I was coming up, it was the golden rule was you didn't fair catch a ball inside your own 10-yard line. And we sent guys, we sent him back there to intentionally do it today. And just don't put anybody back there. Put the 11th guy up on the line, try to block the punt.
I have to wonder, guys, if that golden rule is no longer in effect, because I see it happen every week. I see it in the NFL. I see it in college. So this wasn't just a Billy Kemp, Nebraska thing. I see it all the time where guys are taking fair catches inside the 10-yard line. I think maybe the coaching has changed where, punters have become so good at that not drop kicking, but how they can drop the head of the football and get it to backspin. And I'm wondering if that style of punting has led special teams coaches to stop coaching the inside the 10, and maybe it's inside the 5 now.
That could be that's a great observation. I know what you're saying. It's never fully dawned on me until you brought that up, because you threw in the NFL, and you see that in the NFL as well.
The Rams do it every freaking game.
Yeah, that's that has been a change from what we kind of grew up with when you talk about fielding punts. The other thing, there was the other aspect of this. I mean, Michigan State knew that Kemp, he hadn't played since the injury against Northwestern. They knew right away the reason he was back there. So if you're Eckley, their punter, I mean, you just tee off.
Yep.
You have no worry that there's, going to have hang time or, for a long punt. You can just let it rip. And in the first half, that's what he did.
Yeah, he was swinging for the fences, and it almost cost him. I mean, there were a couple of close calls there. I think it was Brett's. Somebody came
late in the game. Yeah, late in the game, Kobe almost got there.
Yeah, real close to a block. By the way, there are 7 seconds left in the first half. Georgia and Missouri tied at 10. 97 seconds left in the first half at Bedlam. 17-14. Oklahoma State. Scoreboard update brought to you by Peerless Energy Systems, helping increase efficiency with your compressed air system.
Here's TJ. TJ, welcome to Big Red Overreaction. Oh, TJ is gone. Call back, TJ. Here is Paul. Good evening, Paul, or good afternoon, Paul.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Well, I'm definitely disappointed in the result today, but defense I thought played pretty good, but they don't score you points. That's what the offense is for, right? Yep. That's what I've always been led to believe. So hopefully we can get that worked out soon. I just want to ask you guys, and I'll hang up and I'll listen on after I ask the question. What is going on with Chubba Purdy? Why isn't he getting a shot? Thanks for taking my call, guys.
Paul, thanks for the call.
Well, hopefully someone will ask that question on Monday.
Yeah, and you'll get the same response you probably got from, was it Satterfield or Rhule was asked about it. Yeah. He's good in the room. He keeps working hard. He's making sure that he's ready the next time he's called on.
Yeah, and most coaches will answer that way. They, unless you get somebody who, just absolutely, doesn't care. You get a Bob Knight type, RIP, who will say anything that's on his mind. Most coaches will just give the patented answer of, well, he works really hard. He's doing some good things, but, we've got our quarterback right now, and they don't really give you any specifics as to why option A, B, or C, or in this case, C, doesn't get in the game.
The other frustrating part of this, and it ties into Harburg, but it ties into this offense, is you're just not built to come from behind. And so you were chasing all day, and you never got a foothold. I will go back. The whole vibe, like the sidelines, there wasn't a ton of emotion on the sidelines, considering what was in front of you to qualify for a bowl game. I think it just compounded how this game started. The standard of defense that they've set at Nebraska, I don't think they regressed, but they didn't meet that standard of defense. But boy, should we have seen that a guy, two quarterbacks, Hauser and Levitt, who were not explosive but efficient, that Nebraska was going to be in for a long day, John, when they had some broken coverages on that opening drive and Michigan State hits one for 17. They hit one from 46. They get caught on the Alante Brown trick play that immediately turns into the 11-yard touchdown pass. Just little uncharacteristic things that on that side of the ball they've been able to handle. They just weren't able to handle in key situations, and I think that was a carryover effect to the rest of the team.
I agree. It's going to be a bad day when a wide receiver who leaves your program has a better day throwing than your quarterback.
Hey, about Alante. I remember seeing the first film when he was not when he was at the prep school in Connecticut, but in Chicago. His was a quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't recall. I wonder if Nebraska had plays in the playbook for Alante to throw the ball on a trick play, to use his ability as a former high school quarterback.
Good question. I don't know, but he put that one on a dime. I mean, it was a well executed play, and I give credit. By the way, speaking of trick plays, we've said a lot of negatives today, but man, what a big play by Phelan on the Philly special, when it looked like that play was going to go. And he came over and broke it up. I think the quarterback on the reception, Hauser, could have done a better job of bringing the ball into his body instead of trying to catch it out with his hands. But Phelan Sanford recovered. That play was going to hit for at least a big gain, if not a touchdown. And Sanford made a tremendous play.
Yeah, and Nebraska defensively, they turned Michigan State into one-dimensional. I mean, Michigan State all of a sudden, and it almost cost them at the end, they're chucking the ball over the yard. I mean, they tried to establish it in the first half, and they couldn't. I mean, Nebraska was good against the run today. But you're right. That was a big-time hit by Sanford. All right, we still have our keys to the game. A scoreboard update. They've gone to halftime in State College or in State College, not State
College Park.
College Park.
State College,
Penn State,
State College, PA.
The State College team is playing the College Park team. Penn State leads Maryland 21-7.
I'm just glad A&M isn't in this conference.
Yes.
College State.
Maryland, by the way, is on a little bit of a losing streak, playing at home today. But you have 2 5-4 teams trying to get bowl eligible next Saturday in Lincoln. Rick, Mo, Alex, Greg, stay right there. Big Red Overreaction is brought to you by Equitable Bank, where we take banking personally. Also, Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. And also by our good friends at Dingman's Collision Center and Mechanical Repair. John Bishop, Gary Sharp, the Joe Man, all in the house for Big Red Overreaction. A couple of more segments, so if you want to get in, this would be your time now. On the Jay Stenick contracting hotline, 402-951-1620 on the Zone and the Keg.
Husker fans, this year marks the 100th season of Memorial Stadium. You can preserve memories from this iconic stadium with a limited edition, fully licensed football for $119. The ball also features championship and stadium history, as well as a full-panel panoramic color photo of Memorial Stadium. Only 5,000 footballs will be produced. To order, call 1-800-345-2868. That's 1-800-345-2868. Or visit NICOsports.com. That's NIKCOsports.com.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
It's Big Red Overreaction, brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Big Red Overreaction continues in 1 minute on 1620 The Zone and 1019 The Keg.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call in the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Peerless Energy Systems is Nebraska and Iowa's locally owned and operated authorized solar air compressor distributor. Peerless Energy Systems provides products and solutions for compressed air systems, helping companies in manufacturing, food processing, transportation, auto body repair, car dealers, and more. Driving industry efficiency through service, support, and relationships, let Peerless Energy Systems help you increase efficiency with your compressed air systems today. PeerlessEnergy.com.
402-951-1620. Big Red Overreaction is live. Presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. And Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also sponsored by Dingman's Collision and Mechanical Repair on 1620 The Zone and 1019 The Keg.
All right, along with John Bishop, I'm Gary Sharp. Big Red Overreaction after Nebraska falls at Michigan State 20-17. Nebraska get the next opportunity to become bowl eligible next Saturday morning, 11 a.m. kickoff for Nebraska and Maryland, who is currently down 21-7 at halftime to Penn State. Back to the phones we go, John. Here is Alex. Good afternoon, Alex.
Hey, how you doing? Love the broadcast and everything else. Man, what a heartbreaker. Almost right there at the end, and then those turnovers, those drop balls. I am going to be a bit of a hater on this. when it winds up coming to, yes, I'm diehard Oscar fan through and through. But anyhow, probably stream or whatever. But I guess the one thing with the turnovers and the ball security, we probably talked about this many, many times. And by the way, the reason why I am a hater is right when I tuned on, the TV started losing. So I am no longer going to watch TV or listen to the radio ever again throughout this rest of the season.
So what are you going to do? Follow the live stats?
Well, there's I had, we're doing sausages and food, and then I fall asleep right 10-10 halftime, and then I wake up and it's 17. We got 5 minutes. turnover, and I must have dropped a hot dog a couple of times, but that's all.
So Alex, do you think you're bad luck? I think Alex hung up.
I think Alex dropped the hot dog, but he certainly didn't drop the other thing.
The radio broadcast was your favorite, was your good friend today. Better than whatever that was on the TV broadcast.
Yeah, I was a little sleepy today. And, personally, I like Spencer Tillman, but Brando kind of struggled today. And, just the whole vibe around the stadium was just bleh.
It felt like a Big Ten West game at 11 a.m. Central.
Yeah, it's almost like those two got assigned to that, and they were like, really? You couldn't put us on a game in any other division but this, or not division, because obviously it was an intra-division game. But, yeah, between these two teams, it was Big Ten Westy football for sure.
Line open for you on the Jay Stennett contracting hotline, 402-951-1620. Good afternoon, Rick. You're on with Gary and John.
Hi, Gary, John. Thanks for taking the call. Hey, I've got a different take on the whole thing with the Nebraska team. I think Rhule's doing a good job. I think the Harbaugh kid is playing as well as you could expect anybody who's played football in this area. And it's not really a criticism of the high school football, but when you come from bigger metropolitan areas, you're going to see better athletes. And I think the Malachi Coleman kid went down to Florida for his junior year. I could be wrong, but I think, didn't he play in the elite league down there?
No.
He did not play? Was he at Lincoln all 4 years then and at high school?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm wrong on that. But anyway, Harbaugh, he's the best athlete they could put out there. Otherwise, they're not paying Rhule $9 or $10 million a year to put somebody out there that's losing. But basically, you got beat by a team with better athletes today. The defense was better. There were times in the game it looked like Michigan State was in the huddle when Nebraska called the play. And the other thing is the kicker from Michigan State didn't make any mistakes. So the people that are harping on Harbaugh, they're entitled to their opinion, but they're not entitled to their set of the facts. Did he turn the ball over? Yeah. But the offense probably wouldn't move without him. Would you agree or disagree, you and John?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 11 guys.
We don't have an alternate.
Here,
we don't have an alternative. We don't know what it would have looked like with Sims or what it would have looked like with Purdy. Harbaugh wasn't good today. He was lesser than he normally is.
I'm not giving him.
And he's not good anyway. He's a wildcat quarterback.
Well, there's no doubt about that. But I think you're paying a coach all this money to put the best player out there that he's got. And obviously the rest of us are 9 to 10 lifers, or like Bobby Heenan used to say, we're 9 to 10 lifers or 9 to 5 that go to work every day. But I think Rhule is doing a good job. And you're one game away from being bowl eligible. We haven't seen that in 4, 5, 6 years. So I mean, again, he is a wildcat quarterback, but I really appreciate the program. Thanks for taking the call, and you guys have a good Saturday and a good Sunday. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Rick. Here is Mo. Hello, Mo.
Hey guys, you got me?
Yeah, we got you, Mo. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate y'all doing this. I know these days are fun for you. I don't want to spend too much time talking about where we catch punts or how the kid from Kearney isn't the quarterback of the future. But I would like to know your guys' idea of how do we make him the best quarterback for this year. We run some like mesh concepts with that wide receiver coming on that short route over the middle. We always hit the seam up. Is it to just give him one side of the field? Is it just to hand the ball off and pray that he hits a long bomb like we did with Zach Lee once upon a time? What's your thoughts on that?
Mo, that's a great question because I think there are today. The biggest thing today that I was a little bit worried about Harburg watching him play was how tentative he was with the football in his hands when he wasn't throwing it. When it was him and he had to make a play. I know there's times where he stops running, he stops moving his legs, and he gets set up for a big hit. But I just thought when the play broke down, and he didn't get help from his offensive line. I mean, for this whole offense to work,
7 sacks.
All 11 guys got to be going. You would hope, we would all dream one day you have a quarterback that can bail the other 10 guys out if you have a breakdown, but they need all 11 on the same page for a play to look good. And when they do, it has a tendency to look really good. I just didn't like today when that play broke down. He just didn't seem to have any feel for what to do. Throw the ball away, throw it into the ground, take off,
or tuck it on and run. And again, I go back to what I've said many times, Gary. I think there's something. He just seemed like 7/10 of what he normally is, 0.7 of what he normally is, just because something was off. He just didn't look as decisive. He just didn't look as sharp running the ball. And I know he had a couple of plays, but one was really they're both busted plays. But there was just something a little bit off, and I wonder if the grind of the season has done it. Also, teams have taken away the option.
Yep.
And they didn't, and even when they did run it, and they didn't run it as much, but teams are starting to get wise to that. So once teams get wise to that, well, then what do you do? And, he can be a serviceable player if you're playing from in front and you're able to call plays. You're kind of basically staying on script. When things get off script, it all gets a little bit of haywire, and we saw that in the last couple of drives.
Yeah, the thing, he had a couple explosive plays. Harburg is going to give you 3 bad plays, then he's going to give you a really good play. So early in the first half, he had a zone read that he hit. And then, the 43-yard run when there was a sense of urgency and Nebraska needed a spark, and he made a play with his legs. So for every 4 plays, there's going to be 2 that are, oh, no. There's going to be 1 that is meh. And then there's going to be 1 that's pretty impressive along the line. I just, you have to find a way to work in the element of the entire offense with him in it. And I don't need explosive. I just need efficient. What we needed today was what Michigan State with their quarterbacks provided. There were not a ton of explosive plays singly by their quarterbacks. They just were efficient. When they needed to make plays and they had to have a third down, it just seemed like they had the right play dialed up, and then the quarterback completed a pass or was able to make a good read on an option on a zone read that you got a key 4th down where you were about to get crushed and you juked out, I think it was Ty Robinson, to get that first down at around midfield.
Yeah. The offense is what it is. I mean, it's going to be hard to get anything more out of it than you can. They just have to execute. I don't want to say they have to be perfect, because obviously they don't. They haven't been perfect the last 3 weeks, and they won those games. They need to be less imperfect than they were today.
Yep, that's a good way to describe it. Here is Greg. Hello, Greg.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good, Greg. Thank you.
I have a couple of points to make. The first is, and this will probably be one of the stranger ones that you get today, is
we've had a
kind of like Oh yeah, I heard.
No, go ahead.
Kept wanting you guys to say portal over and over and over again. Great patience on both of your parts on that call, because I would have ejected much sooner. The first one is, I actually wanted no part of us running the table and sailing into the Big Ten title game, kind of in the old SNL vein. They're not ready for primetime players. Not that really anybody in the Big Ten West is, but that's just going to be so ugly. Who's the sacrificial lamb from the Big Ten West in that game? And then the other thing I was going to talk about, John was talking about it earlier on the Casey Thompson angle and the receivers running wide open today. But I honestly think if Casey Thompson is still alive as Nebraska's quarterback, taking even half as many shots as Harburg's taken this year, Michigan State would have had a completely different setup and just played the quarterback to only run in an emergency and really just worked on shutting down the passing game. So I'm not really sure. As much as I like Casey Thompson, of course, there's no Trey Palmer either. I just don't think he really makes the difference on this season.
Again, it's a different style than what they're currently doing right now. So you're right. Defenses will adjust. I thought Casey played well last year. And you're right. Trey Palmer was a huge asset. But, I also think that Casey Thompson gives Marcus Satterfield more of what Marcus Satterfield wants as an offensive play caller. And you can say, well, I don't like Satterfield as a play caller. Well, guess what? He's your play caller. And that's who Rhule has chosen. That's his choice. And this offense that you're seeing today, I guarantee you, if you would have taken the film of the last 8 weeks and packaged it and sent it back in time and rolled it for those offensive coaches back in July, they probably would have watched going, this isn't in the book. Because it's different. It's completely different, and it's on the fly from what they were, I think, expecting to do this season with an entirely different quarterback.
Yeah, Harburg, Thompson, Cynic. When there are open wide receivers, you have to hit them.
Yes.
And when you do not hit them in this offense, it is when you don't have explosive plays that you can count on, it's just the increased importance of making the simple play. You need to. And when you don't, they get magnified. And today they got magnified. Let's welcome in Ryan. Ryan, thanks for the call. Welcome to Big Red Overreaction on the Zone and the Keg.
Yeah, hi, guys. Just a couple quick things. I think you're really understating the fact that Harburg, something was wrong there today. I know you've said it a few times, but like on the big run he had on the broken play where he goes downfield and he slides after running 40 yards. I mean, normally he probably trucks that guy and goes for another 10, So something was going on there. I guess what I'd like to maybe expand on, if you could, if we would go back to being a downhill run game team, with double tight ends, I formation, that type of stuff, what rules have changed that has changed the way we can block the run game? Because I watch it and you don't see anybody crab blocking, cut blocking, do anything along the line of scrimmage. Is that just not because it's taught or because it's not allowed? And thank you for doing this. Thank you.
Ryan, thanks. They have cracked down on crackdown. They've really started to hammer cut blocking on the crackback stuff and some of the stuff that's illegal. I've seen more flags thrown this year. I don't know. We don't see guys cutting as much on this offensive line. I think they're in a weird spot just offensively because it's a hodgepodge. They don't really have an identity of pet plays, or when they need a play, this is what we're going to run and we know we're going to get it. It just
it's a makeshift offensive line. It's not the guys they started with. Some of them.
I just don't think they have a lot of trust, and they're
trying to piece this together. And that's why I said if this team gets to 6 wins, Matt Rhule should be the coach of the year in the conference. I mean, they're piecing this together as they go. Thank God. I mean, and Tony White should get some serious consideration for the Broyles Award for what he has done. I mean, thank God this defense has been as good as it is, or we'd be staring down the barrel of another 3-9 season.
Yeah,
if not worse.
Today, so I liked a little bit what they did in the run game, and it wasn't just quarterback handoff and run and zone. They tried to get to the edge and they ran fleeks, and they had Johnson, Grant, and Fleeks as a trio together, and I didn't mind that. It's just Michigan State shut them down. I mean, you take out the Harburg 43-yard run, Nebraska's barely over 100 yards rushing today. They lost battles up front. And they couldn't then go to the passing game, which Michigan State just hadn't defended well this year. Michigan State made Nebraska do things that Michigan State wanted them to do. And I didn't see that coming. I thought Nebraska would at least be able to control one aspect either on the ground or even through the air, and they just weren't. And Michigan State played well, and in a game like this, you're not going to beat Michigan State with scheme. If they've shut you down, you got to say, hey, do we have a player that can go make a play? And you just don't have that on offense where, give a guy and he all of a sudden changes the game because he's so good.
Yeah, no, it's tough, but still they're in a spot where they can make something happen. Obviously, more adjustments will need to be made. Hopefully, I hope my theory's not right on Harburg and that he's healthier than I think he is at this moment. But if not, that'll be another thing that they have to adjust.
No, I think that's fair to keep in play here because, Rhule is pretty honest about the health of Harburg, whether he gets winded or he's been beat up. Yeah. And he did on Monday say, we got a guy that's pretty beat up. So now we step back and go, well, did that factor into some of the things, whether Harburg's sliding down or, trying to run him a little bit more? Because this is going to be, let me just check the box score real quick here. Now Harburg ended up with 14 carries, Johnson with 13. So Nebraska's only had 2 games this year where the running back has had more carries than Harburg. I think you got a guy that is beat up. And that's probably something to watch, because if it does impact you and really puts one hand behind your back with what Harburg can do, then you got to look in the mirror and go, man, are we hurting ourselves in this situation? But no, I think it's fair. I think it's fair to wonder, is there something that's not right coming off the comments that were made by Rhule last week?
Scoreboard update brought to you by Peerless Energy Systems, helping increase efficiency with your compressed air system. The Iowa Hawkeyes have done something not even notorious Cub killer Mike Schmidt could do. They have hit a 6-run home run at Wrigley Field, make it a 7-run home run. It's now 7-0 as Iowa has scored early in the third quarter to take a lead against Northwestern. They have just started the second half, 10-10. Missouri and Georgia. They are about to start the second half in Stillwater, 17-14 in what could be the last Bedlam game for a long time.
Remember the Cubs beat the Reds, John, as both of us are Cubs fans, on August 1, 20-9.
We had a prop bet in predictions. We took that 29, and we all took the under, and it's looking good right now. The under's looking good.
That might be enough for Iowa to win today. All right, back to the Jay Stenick contracting hotline. Here is Jeremy. Hello, Jeremy.
Hey, fellas. How's it going?
Good.
Hey, I don't think Casey Thompson was probably an option to come back this year. The one quarterback from last year that I'd be interested to see in this offense. I think it would have been an upgrade, would have been if Logan Smothers would have stayed around. And I don't know if you guys have talked about this today, but I'd be curious if the staff could go back in time, if they would have spent more time on Harburg's mechanics in a point in time when they could have fixed it. I mean, obviously you can't fix that in the season right now, but I mean, if you look at his mechanics, it's prone to fail the ball. And given that he was playing H-back in the Minnesota game, I don't think they ever expected that he was going to be starting quarterback.
No.
I mean, he was going to be contributing. So I'd be interested to see if they wish they could have gone back and probably corrected.
Yeah, and you're right, Jeremy. He also, last year, that staff threw him away for a year.
They did.
Sure.
They absolutely did. And honestly, I don't know. I mean, Rhule was asked about it a few weeks ago, and he said, no, there's nothing you can do about it at this point. I wonder if, do they have someone on the staff that could help him with those mechanics, or would he have had to go outside? We don't know.
And I know you brought up the point, or some callers brought up, hey, just go find someone in the portal. It's like, if some people understand the portal is not like a draft, it's like, if you're really bad one year, you don't get the first pick in the portal. Like, it's more like free agency, and I'm sure there'll be guys in the portal that we'll want to get, but I don't know, maybe unless we know who else we were looking at, like maybe Jeff Sims was the best option that was available.
Yeah, and Jeremy and you and some others have alluded to this, and this is right. You can go into the portal all you want. You do have to have a reciprocal love.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then the NIL's got to be there, and everything's got to be in sync.
But I think,
and there's other competitors out there. Everybody outside of a handful of teams is looking for.
But this will be the part of the messaging of what, if you're going to pursue a guy that is unfamiliar to you and you didn't recruit him out of high school, is what's your message on what this is going to look like? Your message to Jeff Sims was, hey, you're going to come here and, we're going to have this wide receiver and this wide receiver, and this offense is going to look like this. And so it's how you deliver your message. But that's a huge part of the offseason. I mean, they've got a good foundation. but that's a position they got to get fixed and fixed quickly. It's just, are you attracted to a younger guy that's coming off a Power 5 roster or an older guy coming off a Power 5 roster?
Well, and I know it's the opposite side of the ball, but that's at least something you can sell to a guy is, hey, we've got a really good defense. Like,
Yep.
I don't know if we can sell special, explosive playmakers and offensive line, but we can say, hey, we've got a really good defense. They're going to stop the other team from scoring. We just need you to come in and you put 20 points on the board, and we're going to win a lot of football games.
Yep. Jeremy, thanks for the phone call. It'll be, and I mean, it just one after another of, though, Marcus Washington, Isaiah Garcia Castaneda, before you even get to the season, a guy who you thought would be a big play threat. All of it compounds. You thought you'd have Gilbert at tight end, but it does go back to just, there is some simple QB 101 that would fix some of these issues. And if you can't be quarterback 101, then I don't know where you go from there, because you have to have a starting point. And they've got some work to do on Harburg. I don't think he's going to leave the program. I will say this, that if they feel like they can work with him in a full offseason where you're not preparing him for a game, but you're preparing him for the next practice in spring or the next workout in the summer, if you do bring in a young quarterback, does that mean that Harburg is still in play? Because I think if you're bringing in an older quarterback, that's your guy, a la the Jeff Sims, to start the year and carry you through a 24 campaign.
Yeah. Again, all of this will be very fascinating to watch, because will they go out and try to fit a quarterback to what they want to do? Will they just try to fit what they try to do to the quarterback that they're able to get? How is all of that going to work? Remember, the transfer portal was not around when Matt Rhule was in college football last time. So this last offseason was kind of a learning process for him. We'll see what that process was like for him and what he learned from it, and then trying to marry some things moving forward. Missouri has tacked on a field goal. They lead 13-10 now in the third quarter. This game,
Missouri football.
The game's kind of playing out like it did last year in Columbia, Gary, where Missouri controlled a lot of that game, but they settled for a lot of field goals. But they've done a good job so far against Georgia's offense, and a low-scoring game right now, but Georgia just got a pretty decent kickoff return, so we'll see what they can do with it.
Hey, hold on to this question for the week, or people can chime in now. Good question on Twitter. Who's the best offensive coach Nebraska has right now through 9 games? Think on that. We'll go to the phones. Here is Caleb in Albuquerque. Hello, Caleb.
Hey, guys. How are you doing?
Good, Caleb. Thanks for the call.
Yeah. Love the show. Thank you for what you guys do. I know it was a low-energy game and kind of sucks, but
it was very low energy.
Yeah, so basically, Heinrich Harburg is scared of that pocket, and I would be too, behind that O-line. And I think we need to roll him out a little bit more, get him out into the open, seeing some more, and just give him more running opportunities. I know he does look 70% out there when he's running, but that's what he's meant to do. Is it not?
It is, but if he's not 100% or not totally himself, I don't know if that's something that necessarily they want to do or wanted to do today.
Yeah, and the other thing was, like, people talk about switching up the quarterbacks, switching back to Jeff Sims. When Jeff Sims fumbled that last fumble, I think that's his last fumble of the year. He looked like he had no passion left to play here. Is that something you guys saw too when he just let that ball go?
Something is off. I don't want to go any further than that, but something is off.
Yeah, and again, we're at 5 wins. We have 3 opportunities to get it done, and I hope we do it against Mike Locksley, because he destroyed New Mexico football. And
there's a bulletin board material.
Well, I mean, yeah, he did not do great things for that program, and I kind of want to get against him, because it would just be great to get bowl eligibility and maybe buy some tickets to a bowl game. So,
Caleb, thanks for the phone call. Penn State just kicked a field goal. They're up 24-7 on Maryland. With 9 minutes to go in the third quarter. Georgia
right, 5-4 versus 5-4 if that score holds.
Yep, to get bowl eligible. And Maryland, which is really good in September, all of a sudden is going through their swoon again. Georgia has driven into Missouri territory with 9 minutes to go in the third quarter, and Eli Drinkwitz is very upset on a pass interference call. This is Mizzou.
Oh, wow. You must be way ahead. I'm watching on Paramount, so I'm probably a minute behind you, but I just saw a sack by Missouri on second down. But
all right, so the question I threw out there about best offensive coach, Kellyanne says Tony White.
I would agree if the defense had a defensive touchdown this year, maybe.
Good point. Good point. Here is Dave.
My God, Gary, you're right. This pass interference is terrible. I just saw it. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just saw it's terrible. Freaking Carson Beck missed the throw badly. Eli should be, he should be pissed.
And
that
now-
is a terrible call.
And now they're inside of the red zone. McConkey on a little out to the flat is down, I think, at the 16-yard line. We go back to the Jay Stennett contracting hotline. Here is Dave. Hello, Dave.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good, Dave.
Thanks for taking my call. First-time caller. Hey,
Thank you.
I wanted to go a little different direction than what everybody's going right now. And I got 3 quick takes, but I just kind of wanted to get your guys' opinion on these. And I understand, I get it. You know, they ain't got a whole lot to work with because there's so many injuries on offense. Harburg isn't a true quarterback. I get it. The offensive line is beat up and stuff. But I've been watching, all the games, and something's really been bothering me every game. And I noticed again today when Satterfield calls plays, he runs a certain series of plays where they bring either a wide receiver or a tight end all the way across the line before the snap, moves the defense. Every time we do that, they run to the opposite side. And today, I don't think we got less than 8 yards a carry. Sometimes I think there was a couple of times Emmett Johnson got like 11 or 12. And even Grant got a couple of big first downs. And they run that play a few times where they use motion, and then they go away from it, and they never run it again the rest of the game. It's like, what are you thinking? Because it doesn't have to be that play, but motion changes. It opens up the middle of the field. Earlier in the year, Fedoni lived in the middle of the field catching passes. The second thing I kind of wanted to touch on pretty much was in order for the Billy G option to work, you have to be successful at least 7 or 8 plays running option and getting good yardage. That didn't happen today. They and the defenses all are aware of it now. And they forced it, and right off the bat, a big interception. Of course, that was a bad throw, but when they ran it the first time, it was well covered. Then that was just kind of by option. The second time when, Alex Bullock was wide open, and the ball went to more to the middle of the field instead of out on the boundary. And then the final thing I kind of wanted to talk about too was, okay, you're down 2 scores. You got less than 4.5 minutes in the game, and you're huddling.
Yeah.
I didn't see
Bingo.
urgency there. Okay. I did not see urgency. So my takes are that I know they don't have a lot to work with, but they have plays in their repertoire that the guys that they've got can make work. And I don't see them doing it enough. Maybe that's Satterfield, maybe that's Rhule, or the both. But when it's 4 minutes to go and you need 2 scores, you don't huddle. I don't. What do you guys think of that?
Well, Dave, and I'm with you. We kind of touched on it in the first hour. And I'll take you.
Okay.
No, you're fine. You're fine because you're spot on. Because I'll take you back a drive before they scored that Harburg had the 43-yard run, and then Emmett Johnson punches it in. Go back with about 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. They hit the big pass from Harburg to Coleman, And I thought they would go tempo there, and they continued on that drive to huddle up.
Yeah.
Right.
And that
Yeah,
that was a big moment there where I thought they could have gone tempo instead of huddling, and the clock was running and running and running.
Well, and I agree with that, because last week's game, when we hit that pass and then we went tempo in the defense, we kind of owned them, and we ended up scoring touchdown. And it's just like, sometimes I question why we make these certain calls, or whatever. And I understand they're probably doing the best they can with what they've kind of got to work with. But from sitting and watching all year, it's like, I'm still seeing where they could have made some wiser decision, or not go away so quickly from something that's working. I mean, it's like Emmett Johnson goes in the game, he makes 2 or 3 pretty good runs, and all of a sudden he's on the sideline. It's like he's not even getting warmed up. Why don't they let that kid carry the ball 15, 18, 20 times a game?
Thank you.
Yep. Dave.
I hate the running back rotation. It's awful.
Dave, good call. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like, there was a carry in the first half where Johnson springs one for 11, and then here comes Grant. Keep him in the game. So, no, E.J. Barthel is not getting my vote for best offensive coach.
Well, and here's what
I'm not saying he's a bad coach, but.
Emmett Johnson has earned, with this current setup, RB1. And again,
Yes.
I didn't mind him. I thought they had a nice little rotation early on with Fleeks and Grant and Johnson, because they tried to keep Michigan State in terms of personnel guessing, because I think Fleeks was going to be their wild card on what they were going to do with him. Now, I don't like Fleeks out of the backfield, but I like Fleeks getting out into the flat. I don't like a quarterback handoff game with Fleeks, but I like him getting the ball out of the backfield via the pass. I don't know what happened today. So they start the second half. So Nebraska gets the ball. So you're playing the middle 8. Nebraska, I thought, had a chance in the middle 8 to go plus 10. They got the field goal by Alvano from 24 yards to tie it going to the locker room. Then they get the ball back. They ran Emmett right away. He got 11 yards on the opening play of the second half. Do you know that he didn't run the football again until about 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and he would only run it 4 more times, including his touchdown? Yeah, because I thought, is he injured? But then he was out there as a pass blocker. So their running back rotation is a mystery, and I would like to see, because I know he's capable of it, but we go another Saturday where Emmett Johnson really isn't featured that much in the passing game. He only had 14 touches. I think he's good enough and dynamic enough for this offense, and a weapon that you're going to have to scheme against or be aware of. He's an 18 to 20 touch guy.
By the way, Gary, a stat that didn't even dawn on me until our friend Jed tweeted at me. Nebraska did not have any penalties today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of the last time Nebraska lost a game where they didn't have penalties.
Oh, you're going to be searching for a while. They had.
I am, because I don't know. I keep track on my sheets. I keep track of the yardage differential between the teams, but not the raw number of penalties. So that'll be a good project for somebody. Last time Nebraska lost a game without committing a penalty.
Well, and they had one called on them, but it was offsetting. And what was that, for an illegal man downfield? That was during the drive at the end of the first half where Michigan State had committed 3 penalties for 40 yards.
That was one of the worst. That was one of the ugliest looking scoring drives just all around. Nebraska didn't look great. Michigan State didn't look great, but the Huskers still came away with a field goal. It was the clunkiest drive I've seen.
Yeah, and the more I think about it, that also, man, this is an issue with the Rhule / Satterfield. Boy, their clock management gets a little bit iffy at the end of games. The end of the half, they got the Alvano field goal, but why was there any time left on the clock?
Right. They took their time. We talk about huddling in the first half, but they lost a lot of seconds earlier. And I know that the timeouts ended up helping them and they got one last shot at it, but I thought they could have been using timeouts with 3 minutes to go, especially after Michigan State threw that pass on first down. They lost 35 seconds there. They lost some seconds, but after the punt, but they do have some quirky Rhule does some quirky time management skills. I hope we're not dealing with another Mike Riley situation here.
All right, we'll take a quick break. This is our final break, and then we'll roll through the final set of callers. We'll get you a scoreboard update as well on Big Red Overreaction, presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Also, Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Dingman's Collision Center and Mechanical Repair. Plus, we'll sneak in our Rotella's keys to the game after Nebraska falls 20-17 at Michigan State. They're back home on Saturday at 11 a.m. against Maryland. Two teams will more than likely be 5-4. The winner goes to a bowl game. Penn State leading Maryland 24-7. Iowa up on Northwestern 7-0. Minnesota has started to grab a little bit of a foothold. Well, no, Illinois has now taken the lead, 21-20 over Minnesota. 7 minutes to go in the third quarter. And earlier today, Wisconsin lost to Indiana. What a day in the Big Ten West. What a day in college football. And the Missouri-Georgia game is quite interesting. 17-13 with 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. Dogs are up on the Tigers between the hedges. It's Big Red Overreaction. John Bishop, Gary Sharp, and you on 1620 The Zone and 101.9 The Keg.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog, because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain Cold Refreshment made to chill. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call in the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
It's Big Red Overreaction, brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Big Red Overreaction continues in 1 minute on 1620 The Zone and 101.9 The Keg.
Tailgate parties call for burgers, brats, dogs, and whatever else you could slap on a bun. But those burgers, brats, dogs, and whatever else deserve the best buns. And the best buns come from Rotella's Italian Bakery. Crazy fresh, crazy delicious. So for your next party, pick some up at the bakery off 108th and Harrison or at your favorite grocery store. Fire up your grill and get ready for kickoff. Rotella's Italian Bakery, more than 100 years of tradition. Hey, can I get a burger with some cheese, lettuce, and tomato? Thanks.
When it comes to protecting your home, Jay Stennett Contracting takes pride in ensuring every detail is handled. Roofing, siding, gutters. When it comes to the exterior of your home, Jay Stennett Contracting has you covered. This fall, consider gutter guards to block debris and prevent clogs and save you the hassle of regular maintenance. Schedule a consultation today and let Jay Stennett Contracting's expert team and durable gutter guards ensure your gutters are working properly in every season. Jay Stennett Contracting. We have you covered. JSCRestoration.com.
The Big Red Overreaction postgame show, presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally, and Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also sponsored by Dingman's Collision and Mechanical Repair on 1620 The Zone and 101.9 The Keg.
All right, before we roll through our final collection of callers, it's time for the keys to the game. They're brought to you by Rotella's Italian Bakery. The key to any tailgate is brat, dog, and burger buns from Rotella's Italian Bakery. John?
Well, I mean, first key is obviously losing the turnover battle. I mean, you go 0-3 or no turnovers versus 3 on your side. Nebraska has already been playing with fire, having won 3 straight, unprecedented in the last half century plus, where they've won 3 straight games where they have lost the turnover margin at the same time, but they weren't good enough to do that today. I think one of the other keys was obviously quarterback play. You know, Hauser went 13 of 20 for 165 and a touch, no interceptions. Levitt had the 1 touchdown pass, albeit controversial. Alante Brown completed a pass for 42 yards, while Harburg was 12 of 28 for 129. And we mentioned it earlier, Nebraska had 28 passing attempts combined the last 2 games.
Yeah.
Obviously won. Today, they had to throw it 28 times and still lost. So those are certainly some of my keys today. By the way, going back to that penalty note, I was able to check back through 2009. This is the only game since at least 2009 where Nebraska did not have a penalty. So it hasn't. So even just having no penalties hasn't happened in over a decade. Interestingly enough, Nebraska did lose a game last year where they only had one penalty, and that was the opener against Northwestern.
Wow. All right.
So I still have work to do this weekend.
Here is Kevin. Kevin in Denver, we appreciate your patience. Welcome to Big Red Overreaction.
No problem. And I think if you keep going back to that 2009 era, if I remember correctly, I think Bo Pelini, every game had a holding call on him. So I think you might want to go back to Callahan or before then, to find that answer there. Start off with a positive that I thought was, at least at the end of the game, a lot of it was Michigan State, of course, giving it back to us. But I felt like we had a chance. And that is from the past, 5-10 years, one score games, we always felt like we were going to lose despite a Hail Mary coming up from Armstrong, So at least we kind of, at least me, I felt like we still had a chance the whole time to get that going. When you're talking about coaches, let me go back real quick. The one thing that I did have an issue with was the touchdown pass. Obviously, it was not a touchdown, but why our safety coming over the top did not help out Newsome. We all know that if it's going to be a touchdown and you got a chance to have a penalty, why not take him out? Ball's dropped. They get it on the one, because what we all saw in that game was they weren't calling penalties no matter what. So at least we could have had a chance if he takes him out there in the midsection, no touchdown. We see where it goes from there if they call a penalty. And then as far as to me, the biggest thing I see is coaches. It's we don't have anything wide receiver wise that makes us happy. We got these great talented wide receivers, but we can't get them off the ball and get them, the short 7-yard routes when, our quarterback's under pressure, and then not to mention, obviously, our O-line's hurt and whatnot, but, we're dealing with stunts and crosses, and it just confuses absolutely everybody on the line. And I just don't understand how, at a collegiate level, especially Nebraska, that, a stunt really just throws everybody off completely, So, offense has got a lot of work. I think we got to get that offensive line squared up, obviously. And we need to get playmakers. It's hard to see like Wandell out there in the NFL. And I know he went to Kentucky for his family, but that was a playmaker. Toure, Palmer, and these guys still didn't have a career at Nebraska that you could go, that's the damn guy right there, Those are kind of my thoughts on that. And, I just hope that we kind of start making those playmakers, getting them there and making it more than just a one-dimensional game. QB is definitely number one, and play calling. There's just a lot on that offense that doesn't make too much sense. Play calling is absolutely horrendous again. We're going in another year that just doesn't make sense to us as, fans, and not having a QB that can throw the ball,
Kevin, thanks for the phone call. There's a lot in there. I think Trey Palmer was a dude last year.
Oh,
I think
obviously,
he would fit that role.
he's starting in the NFL.
So there is the part of these the young wide receivers that are learning on the fly. They got to be.
And let's face it, some of these guys are being pressed into service earlier than I think these coaches were comfortable doing because of the injuries and losing bets before the season.
One thing that was key today, Nebraska had been pretty good for about a 3-game stretch in the month of October of their wide receivers and tight ends were good blockers. I don't think the wide receivers and tight ends blocked downfield very well today. On running plays, I don't think they were very good, but there were wide receivers that were open. There's another thing that is, just they're working on is guys running precise routes, not cheating on their route, like running the route like it's supposed to be run. And you saw a couple times today, like Malachi Coleman ran a really good route. And Jesus, how did he catch that ball? That was a fastball that was on him immediately that he caught late in the game. I just, I think Nebraska offensively has been this way for a while. Today they got exposed. They've been this way, and when they needed to make a play, especially through the air, they just couldn't do it. Now I want to go back to the Michigan State touchdown. So, ball probably should have been overturned, but there was a lot in there, John. I'm trying to figure it was a simple stutter and go route. And I think that Quentin bit on it, which is rare. And then it almost looked like at the end that there was offensive pass interference and holding simultaneously. Or did Quentin, when he tried to recover after, stopping on the hesitation, did he just fall down?
I definitely I thought there was a hold that wasn't called on Quentin. I'd have to watch it again, but yeah, it was a little bit off the whole way. I still can't believe, because they had a very clear look at it on replay. It's not like it was one of those where, his body was kind of in the way. We couldn't tell. I mean, the ball clearly was on the ground, and I didn't see enough evidence that there was a hand underneath the ball. I was stunned that thing was called back, and I don't know what Mr. Magoo was looking at there in Pittsburgh, but that's inexplicable. By the way, Georgia is now pulling away. They've just got a short field off a punt. They just cashed it in for 6, so now they're up 2 scores, 24-13 on Missouri. 21-17, Oklahoma's taken the lead in the third quarter in Bedlam, and Northwestern is driving down 7-0 early fourth quarter at Wrigley Field. Scoreboard brought to you by Peerless Energy Systems, helping increase efficiency with your compressed air system.
Hey, I just looked at another clip. I still don't know how they didn't stop and review the next to last play.
I don't either, because everything that's borderline, I mean, if this were an NFL game where all plays inside of 2 minutes are reviewed, that would have been reviewed. I can't believe in that moment. I know that the clock was running and, you don't like to give a team a free timeout, but it's a bang, bang play. And it was certainly one. I don't get why that was not reviewed.
Here is George. George, good evening.
Good evening, guys. How are you guys doing?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, so, I mean, the only thing I can touch on, to be honest, is that what we're seeing is an issue that I think we've seen for the past, I'd say, since Scott Frost has gotten there. With our quarterbacks, we like you guys have said, we have athletes who play quarterback, not quarterbacks who are athletes. And with that, we've had these guys who are running more than our running backs. They run the ball more than our running backs touch the ball. I mean, I don't know about today. I don't know if Heinrich was the leading rush. He had the most rush attempts on our team, but I think he's the leading rusher for the season. And I know that might have to do a lot with the injuries we've had at running back and all sorts of things like that. But with that comes a cost, and that cost is he's beat up.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of plays where I know nothing about how the option is ran. I'm not a coach. I don't know. I can't speak to it. But there's a lot of times where I feel like he pitches the ball early. He doesn't press the defender that they're trying to make choose between either playing him or play the running back. And I think a lot of that has to do with he's getting hit. He's getting beat up out there. And it would be interesting to look back at the beginning of when he first started against Northern Illinois and Louisiana Tech, how much more commanding and he was as a runner, taking those hits. And, when you're first taking those hits, it's pretty cool to see your quarterback do that. But then in week 7, week 8, his 7th, 8th start, you're like, oh my gosh. Well, today he did slide a little bit and things, which was good, but I don't know what we're looking at. I'm going to go to the Maryland game next week, hoping to see bowl eligibility for the first time since 2016. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your night. Take care.
George, thank you. I think there's the part of the quarterback instinct that Harburg hasn't been able to climb over that hill.
Yeah.
It just a feel for when to pitch the ball or when to get rid of the ball or that clock in his head. And Michigan State did a good job today. They sped everything up for him and he really got squeezed and he couldn't make plays just like that.
And there's only so much development when you're learning on the fly in some ways, and not to say you still can't grow in season, but it's tough. And you're going to see different things from teams. Because remember, a lot of the stuff that was working when Harburg got in is now stuff that's been on film, and every team has had a chance to see it and prepare for it. And now you have to have the counter to the counter or just execute at a much higher level. And those are things that are tough to do when you're also learning everything a little bit on the fly.
Yeah, and then compared to Purdue last week, where Purdue was awful sloppy in their man concepts, Michigan State today was pretty much on par. They did a really good job with their defense. And so there was not really any opportunities for laziness on the defensive side of the ball to give Harburg an opening. And when they hit Harburg, man, they popped him.
Yes, they did.
He got hammered a few times. Here is Joe. Joe, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for taking the call, guys. Got a question for you. What's more important for us in the offseason? Get a good quarterback or get a good quarterback coach?
I mean, to me, it still comes down to players. Still comes down.
Good question. We're not going to get a good. You're not going to go out and find a good ready-made quarterback to come play Nebraska for the portal next year. That's not going to happen.
So let me ask you this, Joe, and this isn't, I'm curious on your thoughts here, because there's the part of me, and I don't want to play the what if game. Nebraska swung for the fences on Jake Peets, and they thought they had Jake Peets, who would have been a fantastic quarterback coach. That would have made Satterfield the tight end coach. And then Satterfield and Peets would have been involved in the play calling. But if you're going shopping in your favorite college football grocery store, what do you think is the kind of quarterback? Because a majority of the offensive talent, whether they block for you or they catch the ball or you hand it off to them, they're eligible to come back next year. What is the ideal type of quarterback do you think Nebraska needs in 2024 if they're going shopping?
Gosh, I mean, the problem is you're not going to have a Joe Gantz or a Killer Martinez come walking through the door next year. Now, those guys, you could say those guys weren't.
Well, do we
They
know?
were
I mean,
quarterbacks.
right now we don't know what the market is, so I don't know if you can just automatically just say, well, they're not going to get a quarterback. We don't know
Part of that. I think the other part of it is that I don't think anybody on staff is good at evaluating quarterback talent. I mean, look at Rhule's history at Temple, Baylor, Carolina. The only time he made changes at QB was through injuries, right? And some of those quarterbacks that finally rose the surface were okay, right? I mean, so Rhule runs off Casey for Sims. You remember the press conference earlier in the year, Rhule talking about how Sims was like a surefire NFL guy? I mean, come on, man.
Yeah,
they
fanned.
Coach.
Yeah, they struck out.
Love Rhule. He's a good coach. He knows football. In 3 or 4 years, I have no doubt we're better than we are right now, right? But without a good quarterback coach, in 3 or 4 years, we're Iowa, and nobody wants to be Iowa.
Well, they are 6-2.
Thank you for the call, Joe.
You bet. Thanks.
I'm watching the Northwestern Iowa game. Part of the grass they put down on the infield was coming up. The refs are stomping on it. It's 3rd and goal Northwestern inside the 1. I'm sorry. They got a pass interference in the end zone that moved the ball to the 2. It is now 3rd and goal from a football length away. Northwestern trailing 7-0. Exactly 7 minutes and 30 seconds to play.
What we just learned from what John said is that John has Peacock, and he invites everybody over to his house in Lincoln next Saturday to watch the game.
Well, and you'll be able to watch it without me because I'll be at CHIL Center calling a basketball game.
So, John, Chris is very, very nice. She will welcome you in. She will have snacks. They've got animals. They've got other kids. I mean, it'll be a perfect experiment. You just won't have John there.
Nope. Yeah, you won't have to listen to me complain about whatever I complain about.
Now Joe's question is real. I mean, it's do you give Satterfield / Sims a mulligan on their quarterback pick? And then you also have to factor in, because two things can be, true at once, is Rhule's career outside of Charlie Brewer, guys only play if there's an injury, and it's not like they have gone over the top with quarterbacks that have just been knocked down. Oh my gosh. But they have to have an idea of what they want. That's where I'm still at a little bit of a weird spot, is what do they want the quarterback at Nebraska to be moving forward? Do you want a bunch of hodgepodge guys of recruiting, or do you want kind of to roll one guy after another and they all somewhat look alike?
Northwestern just tried their own version of the brotherly shove. They put a tight end in motion, tried to shove the quarterback into the end zone. Iowa stops them on 4th and goal from 1 foot away, and it's still 7-0 Hawkeyes.
Big Red Overreaction is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Also, Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Dingman's Collision Center and Mechanical Repair. Just 2 more calls, Aaron and Sean here, and then don't forget, We're all back with you beginning on Monday at 6. Michael Severe will be in tomorrow at 8 a.m. for Severe Reaction. Back to the Jay Stennett Contracting Hotline we go, and Aaron joins us. Aaron, welcome to Big Red Overreaction with John and Gary.
Hey, guys. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hey, Gary, you just kind of touched on it, and that was going to be my question for you guys, is that do you think so far offensively this season that the coaching staff has had to make chicken salad out of chicken poo so much that – because let me back up. I don't think they have any confidence in Harburg, and I don't think they have any confidence in that quarterback room. I think you can hear it in the press conferences, and then I think there was a caller before who I think it was like 4.5 minutes. Nebraska's down 2 scores, and they're running, delayed handoffs and not even going no huddle. That to me kind of tells me what they think of Harburg in the room, but that they've had to make like a hodgepodge out of this offense all year. That if you ask them, in a perfect world, what do they want? That it would almost be like we don't know. We're just trying to get through the season, game to game, hopefully get to a bowl game.
No, I think you're spot on, Aaron.
Yep. No, you're in quasi survival mode here. You're just trying, and Matt Rhule kind of went on a spiel a couple of press conferences ago, just talking about, going 1-0 and, just focusing on that. I mean, this is literally all about that. This is trying to find any way possible because none of these games are going to come easy. And a lot of that has to stem from the fact that Nebraska is not good enough in certain areas that they can just go out there, roll out the football and beat somebody. They have to be on point. And
and I think
it's a grind.
Also, I would say Rhule coming from Carolina is almost that NFL mentality to where it's week to week.
Yep.
Get one win at a time. And I know the caller before me, he said something about, 3 or 4 years down the road. I think we're in an age of college football to where you almost can't think that because with the portal, with NIL, player movement, like you can't plan 3 years down the road because nobody knows what their team, what their program is going to look like.
Mm-hmm. I agree, Aaron. Aaron, good phone call. That's why probably, I don't know, the tone of this show has been kind of interesting, John.
Yeah.
I think if we're doing this show last year, of course, it's much worse. I think it's the frustrating part, but I'm not frustrated to the point of, oh, geez, they're in trouble. It's just there were opportunities today that they just weren't able to take advantage of. And what has Rhule said? Let's just do enough offensively and we'll rely on the defense. And boy, we got good special teams. Defense didn't hurt you, didn't entirely help you, and special teams let you down. And then offensively, you, of course, were nowhere near doing enough. But at the end of the game, you still had a chance. You made things interesting to get within a field goal and had the ball.
See, that's the other part of it. And I know we've talked a little bit of, most of the special teams conversation has been about the fair catching of punts inside the 10-yard line. But, Buschini's punting. It's hard to win when you're backed up all the time. The difference in starting field position was 8 yards over the course of an entire game. That average, it just backs you up. And this is not an offense that's going to go 80 yards in most cases. You're lucky if you get one good drive of 60 or 70 yards. Mizzou touchdown. So they're back into it. But that's so you not only does the defense have to be great, but then you've got to get contributions from special teams. And then the offense can't turn the ball over 3 times and, miss open receivers. It's the margin for error is skinny. And you've said it a number of times today, Gary. It's not like Nebraska was all that different today than what they've been the last 3 weeks. The difference was they maybe made a play or two more in those games and didn't turn and got back a couple of the turnovers that today they didn't get back at all.
Yeah, and they had one of those days where one particular guy needed to be good, maybe kind of on the par of what he was last week, and Tommy Hill had a bad day. They picked on Tommy Hill. And Tommy Hill, he hadn't had one of these type games in a while, and he got picked on. And usually when he got picked on, it turned into a big play and a big moment for Michigan State. They said they had too many guys that were nondescript today. And then they had a couple of guys that needed to be better that took a step back, and Tommy was one of those.
2-point conversion is good, and so it is a field goal game with a lot of time left, over 11 minutes left in Athens, 24-21 Georgia. Credit to Mizzou because they look like they might have been dead in the water after that second touchdown, but they're right back in it. So we got more drama in the late afternoon window. Bedlam's one-score game. Iowa Northwestern, I mean, it's ugly, but it's a one-score game. College football's delivering today. Sadly, Nebraska did not.
Hey, one quick thing here. A friend of mine is actually at the Northwestern Iowa game, and he said that where third base is like becoming a sinkhole.
Okay, so that's what it is, because I've been watching, and they've been trying to fill it with, like, sand or salt or dirt or something. But, yeah, and that's around the area where Northwestern was setting up because they were heading towards that, the Cubs dugout end of the field, and that's where they were trying to, run the brotherly shove. I don't know if that had an impact on the drive on that play, but, yeah, there is a sinkhole that is developed, and it's right there between the 1 and the 2 yard line, right in the middle of the field. I listen, I love it that they're playing football at Wrigley Field, but they still haven't had a game that hasn't come off with some kind of a hitch.
No. At least they fixed the one end zone from the first year they played.
Oh, God. And now it's come totally up. There's like a mound sitting there. Every time someone plants in it, it's just bringing up grass and, mud and, it's terrible.
Oh, it's so Big Ten Westish.
Yeah, I mean, it's perfect.
They will do a 30 for 30 and no one will watch it except for us sickos.
Yeah,
and
now the whole grounds crew has come out there with the rakes and the shovels, and 5:49 left. Iowa's after that stop is facing 3rd and long from inside their own 5 yard line, leading 7-0.
Hey, we got a good listener to the Zone named Kurt, who is almost to Ames, and he said, I'll check in on Jalen Daniels of KU to see his interest in Nebraska. Here is Sean to finish off this Big Red Overreaction. Good evening, Sean. Oh, Sean? Is that how we're going to end?
Yep.
Oh, that's kind of like how the day began for Nebraska.
Yeah.
All right.
Popcorn fart.
Big thanks to Joey. For John, I'm Gary. Big Red Overreaction. Michigan State defeats Nebraska 20-17. It is getting crazy in the Big Ten West because Illinois still leads Minnesota 21-20 with 10 minutes to go. Nebraska has lost today. Wisconsin has lost today. John just told you about what's going on between Iowa and Northwestern, and Iowa making a huge stand on the goal line. Oh, boy. 3 weeks to go. Maryland at 11 a.m. next week, followed by Wisconsin in Madison, and then Black Friday against Iowa. Could Iowa come to Memorial Stadium with a chance to win the West in that 11 a.m. game?
Well, at this point, they're all going to have a chance to win the West going into the last week of the season. It's crazy. And by the way, kids, don't forget, turn your clocks back tonight.
That's true. That's a little PSA from Uncle Johnny.
That's right. Turn your clocks back. Now, of course, most of my clocks in the house are automatic, but there's a couple I have to turn back.
All right. Tomorrow morning, Severe Reaction begins at 8 a.m. Michael will have his thoughts on this game with all kinds of great little numerical nuggets that he provides.
And probably Sip.
Yes, Sip joins him. Sip is a regular. We'll see how Sip feels about this. I wonder if Sip's tone has changed at all.
I don't know. We'll see.
You'll
get his first react. Well, I mean, he's got his column tonight, but you'll get his next reaction on Severe Reaction, along with Michael's reaction.
Yep. This is probably the best way to sum this up. The quote by Rhule in the postgame: had some plays dialed up. I thought we were going to win. Didn't happen. Nebraska comes up short. They'll have 3 games to still try and get one to be bowl eligible. They'll do it against a fellow 5-4 team, Maryland, next week at 11 a.m. We're back with you at 6 for Mornings with Sharp and Hanley, Connor's show, and then Unsportsmanlike Conduct in the afternoon on Monday, as we'll all get a rewind and figure out what went wrong at Michigan State. Again, big thanks to all of our callers. Also, Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Rotella's Italian Bakery, Jay Stennett Contracting, Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill, Dingman's Collision Center Mechanical Repair, and Peerless Energy Systems. Thanks, John.
All right. See you, Gary. Have a great week.
For John Bishop, for Joey, I'm Gary. Have a great weekend, everybody. Don't forget to set your clocks back so you don't miss any of the great content on 1620 The Zone. And remember to live, laugh, love, and punt. This has been Big Red Overreaction on 1620 The Zone and 101.9 The